Hey, are you ever going to start this podcast you've been talking about for like forever?
Do you think that anyone will actually want to listen to something like this?
What is your plan for an introduction?
Are you sure you want to talk about these topics? People usually disagree.
3 hours? Are you crazy?
Do you think you're some kind of expert or something?
Are you planning to have an intro song?
What if a bunch of people get really mad and hate you over this?
Do you even know how to make a podcast?
Are you just doing this because you like to argue with people?
Don't let this be just one more thing that you talk about doing, but never actually do.
Wouldn't it be better to do just one episode for each topic?
Stop trying to change people's opinions. Just live your own life.
Dude, people are never going to agree. Just let it go.
Is this going to be a long intro? Because if it is, I'm bored already.
Welcome to another episode of the Why Can't We Talk About That podcast. I'm glad you're here. What I am not glad about are fun size candy bars. Who are they fooling with that one? How are these called fun size? They are smaller. They are less. Smaller and less are not fun. At least when it comes to things that are enjoyable. Does anyone ever give you 1/20th of a hamburger and say, here, this one is fun size? The word fun is supposed to be used to denote something enjoyable. Getting one bite of a candy bar is not more fun than eating the entire candy bar. Someone might argue that, well, you can just eat as many fun-size candy bars that would equal one regular size or even a king-size candy bar. Okay, that may be true, but now you need to remove the wrappers for like 10 candy bars instead of just one. How is this fun? They should call them bite-size instead of fun-size. It's extremely misleading. Looks like we need to start yet another petition. My guest today is very special. And I don't just mean special like all my guests are special. I mean like special in a way that only one other guest has been. There are 4 people on this planet that call me Dad, and that makes these 4 special beyond all others. Having already had my son Aiden on the show during the first season, and if you haven't listened to that yet, what's the deal? I now have the privilege of having my daughter Alora as a guest. My oldest child, the one who originally made me a father, forever altering my life from that moment on. She will be turning 25 just 3 days from the date of this episode's release, so be sure and tell her happy birthday. Now that Alora is nearing the quarter-of-a-century mark in age, it's really awesome to see the woman she has become. She and I always have deep discussions, which made this episode very easy to do. The only difference is that we turned on a microphone and are allowing all of you to listen in. Topics discussed today include Rebecca St. James, Crystal Myers, Rachel Lampa, Barlow Girl, Angry Girl Rock, Olivia Rodrigo, Capital Kings, Justin Bieber, Spotify, Taylor Swift, Jake Gyllenhaal, Sexual Assault, Swifties, TikTok, Matt and Abby, Twitter, Hymns versus Contemporary Worship Music, Halsey, NF, Alec Benjamin, Christina Grimmie, Beautiful Eulogy, Giving People the Benefit of the Doubt, Being a People Pleaser, Food Regulation, Semi-Crunchy, MSGs, GMOs, Seed Oils, Food Dyes, Red 40, The Redemption of Beets, Bee Propolis Spray, Flipping the Train Switch, Growing Up in the Church, Mission Trips, Biola, Megachurches, Abortion, Working with Children with Special Needs, The Barbie Movie, and The Patriarchy. Please leave a review wherever you are listening to this from. Even if you have already left a review, leave another one. What could it hurt? Don't forget to send me feedback. The more feedback I get means the less time I spend sobbing uncontrollably. You should all know the email by now, so you have no excuse. Why can't we talk about that at proton.me? It's also the same email you would use to let me know if you or anyone else you know would be interested in being a guest on the show. Now let's get to that conversation.
I was asking if you were nervous.
A little bit,
Yeah.
and just because I feel like I'm like, what if I say something and then like that's not actually what I mean, or like, I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah, I know.
It's all right, you know? Yeah. We all say things that are wrong sometimes. I've said wrong things. I've been listening back in the editing process and been like, that's not the band that sings that, or that's not even the album that's on, or it's not usually a band. I'm not usually that bad, but it's like, that's not the album that's on, and I look it up, and I'm like, oh man, it's not.
Yeah, see, I don't catch those ones, but sometimes when you're like, oh, there's a word for this, what's the word for that? I say it out loud while I'm listening to the podcast. I'm like, it's this is what you're trying to think of. I know it.
Or what was the one? Was it Taylor Swift we were talking about?
Yes, and I texted you all my list of like, okay, so in your answer to this, yes, you were right about that, and then like.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, let's rock.
Cool.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Finally doing it. For a while there, you were a little hesitant.
Yeah, I know. I just was like, I have nothing to say. I was like, I don't really listen to music. I don't like to talk about politics. My like spirituality story is like your typical boring Christian, like nothing interesting to it. And I was like, I just would have nothing to talk about. But I don't know. I thought about it and I was like, no, I feel like I would, because we have conversations like all the time. And so I'm like, hey, maybe there are some things like that I would be able to talk about. So yeah.
So you feel better about that now? You feel like
I think so. We'll see.
What changed your mind? You just kept thinking about it? Because this is like first season you were thinking about it originally, right? And then you were...
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was Diana's episode.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it was about her episode that made me go, I think I do have things to say. Like, I don't know if it was just that I like related to what she was talking about maybe, or I don't know.
Was the part with the plates and the...
That was crazy.
Was that weird? The sand on the plate thing? Was it sand?
Yeah, something, sand, or salt or something like that. Yeah, that was crazy.
I've gotten a lot of... feedback on that.
Yeah.
I've had people that have actually contacted me and be like, oh yeah, I know all about that. I've studied up on this.
Yeah,
and it's like,
really interesting.
It's fascinating.
It's crazy stuff.
So very cool. All right, well, let's jump into music. Earliest, I mean, this is always fun because it's like, obviously I've known you your whole life.
Yeah.
We've had these discussions a lot. You know, a lot of your musical taste is stuff that we, listen to together and stuff. But so I like to go back all the way.
Yeah.
Earliest memory, like first time you remember thinking, I like that. I mean,
honestly, I was trying to think about this before. I'm like, I think the first time there was music where I was like, I really like this was probably like Rebecca St. James, honestly.
Okay.
Like, I remember hearing, I can't remember whatever the song is that has like John 3:16 in it. I don't remember what song it is, and I couldn't sing it for you because I don't even remember. Okay. But I remember that was part of the lyrics was something about John 3:16, I think.
Like it reads the verse, or it says the words John 3:16?
No, like the verse.
It says, for God so loved the world.
Yes.
Okay.
As you were saying that, like almost came back to me, but not quite.
It's not the one by Jackie Velasquez, because she has a song in it.
No, I don't think so. I'm almost...
So loved the world.
No. I'm almost positive it was Rebecca St. James, and I remember, I feel like you played the music video for me, because you had one of those DVDs that had like Christian music videos.
Yep.
And so I watched that video because you're like, I think you'll like this song, and you played it for me, and that was like my first memory of that being like, oh, I like this.
Interesting.
Because like I always remember there being music. Like obviously, I was raised by you. There was always music. Every time we're in the car, you would play like 5 Hour Frenzy, Joy Electric, all these things that I'm just so used to hearing in the car.
Proof that you were raised properly.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what it's all about.
But a lot of times it was like, oh, it's Dad's music again. Oh, Dad's playing his music again. But like. Those are the things I think when I first started to come into my own of like, this is the music I like. I really liked girl singers because I could like, I was like, oh, like that's so cool. Like I want to be a singer. Like, I used to record songs and stuff.
I still have some of it.
I know. I think Kewan needs to hear some of those. Yeah. Some of my songs.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah. But so I think Rebecca St. James was probably the earliest. And then like Crystal Myers, I feel like was around the same time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's another one.
And I feel like there was a third one that I can't remember. That was in that same...
You were into, for a while, I know you were into like Katia, and then One Girl Nation.
No, it wasn't either of those. I do remember Katia, though. I remember I got that album.
Pop. There's Rachel Lampa.
Rachel Lampa. That's the other one I was trying to think of.
Because you used to sing Kaleidoscope when you were little.
Yes.
That's right. And now I have that memory. I totally forgot about that.
And that's probably another one that I bet you if I play that song for it, I haven't heard it in probably 15 years. I bet you if I play it, I probably still know the words.
It wasn't Kaleidoscope. It's from the album Kaleidoscope. It was Savior Song.
Yeah.
Oh, how did it go? This is my Savior song.
Oh, yeah.
You used to sing it. I get it. You did it. Yeah, because you remember you used to sing that when you were a little girl.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. That's awesome.
No, because the other day I just randomly was like, I really want to listen to Crystal Myers again. Like, I think, I don't know, like, it's been a long time, like, I'll listen to it again. And so I just kind of put all her music on shuffle. And I think the first one that played was The Beauty of Grace. And I'm singing it, and I couldn't tell you the day before if you're like, hey, what are the words to Beauty of Grace by Crystal Myers? I'm like, I don't know. But with the song playing, I sang like the whole song, and I was like, how did I remember that? It just stuck in my head. Yeah. But so I think I'm gonna make a playlist now that's like nostalgic Christian
I have one
girl
of those.
Music.
Well, not that, but I have a nostalgic playlist.
I want some Barlow Girl, I want some Rebecca St. James, I want some Crystal Meyer is on there, Rachel Lampa. Like, I want to find like these old nostalgic songs for me. And, like,
I remember when they first started marketing Crystal Meyer, she was being touted as like the
Avril Lavigne.
Yeah, like
I
the Christian Avril Lavigne.
And I was like, who's Avril Lavigne?
Yeah.
I don't know who that
is. Well, because Crystal Meyer's first album was very much that. It sounded like Skater Boy, like by Avril Lavigne. It sounded like that kind of punk rock is too strong a word, but kind of that angry girl rock kind of stuff, right?
And so I'm learning, this is kind of what got me back into Crystal Meyer. I'm learning that I kind of like that stuff because I've been listening to Olivia Rodrigo.
Okay.
She just had a new album come out, and I've been listening to it. And I was trying to figure out what to call her style, and I kept calling it angry girl music. That's what they say on 10 Things I Hate About You. When they're trying to figure out things about Kat to tell him.
Oh.
And they're like, and she likes angry girl music. I'm like, that's what they said. So that's what I've been calling it. But I was talking to one of my friends, and she's like, I think it's considered like punk rock. And I was like, oh, okay. But I like angry girl music.
Oh, man. Yeah. But then her second album, she got really poppy. And then the third album, no, maybe not the second album. She was maybe starting to go that way, Crystal Meyers. And then the third one, that's where it was like, huge difference. I think that was her last one. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I was trying to look. There's only a few, and they're like old. I think like 2005, 2008 was the last album.
Yeah, it was like Glitter, or what was the name of that album?
No, Make Some Noise was the one.
Make Some Noise.
Cover.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And she came out. That was real poppy. It was a lot of dancey songs. It was kind of getting away from the angry girl rock of the other ones. But then that was it, as far as I know. I don't know what.
There's nothing on Spotify past that.
And then you try to look up those people, and that's what I hate. You try to find out about them. And like you mentioned, Barlow Girl, that's one that I'm like, what are they doing today?
Yeah.
Like, we loved Barlow Girl. Me and Mom, I mean, to me, they were one of those bands that came out of the Christian music scene that meant something. You know, because a lot of it, I mean, I hate to sound that way, but a lot of it was just kind of superficial and cheesy. Yeah, it's just like, Jesus is great. He's my homie. I love him. He's awesome. He makes me happy. Okay, you know, but Barlow Girl was like hitting some deep
they have
stuff.
some really good songs.
Right.
Like, oh, what's that one? The one that's the thing that's written on the wall from like Auschwitz or something.
Oh, Love. It's got love in the title.
Yeah,
because there was what was that quote on the wall? And no, it wasn't. I don't think it was Auschwitz.
I believe in the sun even when it's not shining.
Yes.
I believe in love even when I can't feel it. I believe in God even when he is silent.
Yes.
And that's like so powerful.
I just got chills just by you saying that. Yeah.
And knowing the history of that, it's like so powerful. I love that song. That's probably my all-time favorite Barlow Girl song.
Right, because it was one of the concentration camps that one of the prisoners had written that on the wall. Yeah,
it's so powerful.
Yeah, and that's my favorite Barlow Girl album. That's I think that's How Can We Remain Silent, I believe. It's How Can We Remain Silent. It's one where they're all in the boxing ring on the cover. That's the one where they got really deep lyrically, I think. I mean, they had other stuff on some of the other ones that were cool. I always quote Never Alone, which is the first song I ever heard by them. But
that's a good one too.
Similar song, right? They're just like, how's that one go? It's the same kind of thing. Like, just because you can't feel God or see God or you feel like he's abandoned you or whatever, you have to stick by what you know, which is he's here and you're never alone. You know, and it's just that song gets me every time too. But did you didn't go with us to see Barlow Girl live? No. I don't think. Addie went.
Oh, she did?
We have a picture of Barlow Girl holding Addie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, because she was like, I don't even think she was a year old yet. Yeah, they had their merch table, not their merch table, but like Barlow Girl had a thing, which I respect. Barlow Girl's big thing was always like, no dating, no, like, and in fact, that's where the Super Chick song Barlow Girl came from. Have you heard the Super Chick song Barlow Girl?
I don't know.
We met these sisters, Barlow's the last name. Yeah, and that was the whole point of that song, is like, we met this family and these girls, they don't date, they don't do any of this, you know, and then Barlow Girl themselves became a band later on, but so when you'd go to like the meet and greet, like they would all be sitting down. They had a big sign that said "No hugs." Like, and I'm like, at first I thought that was weird, but I'm like, well, I kind of get it. Like, there's these three young, pretty girls that probably have weirdo fans out there, you know, that are, you know, what you just got to be careful, you know. But they're all sitting there, and I think it was the oldest one, Rebecca, I think was the one that said, "Oh, okay." You know, can I, you know, whatever. She said, can I hold the baby? I don't remember how it happened, but we have a picture of the three of them sitting there, and they have their table here, and Addie's like sitting on the table. That's awesome. And Rebecca's got her hand like on. Yeah. It's like, that's so awesome.
That's cute.
But yeah. But anyway, my point with them was that's they just fell off the face of the earth. They just announced after their 4th album, we're done, we're quitting. They never said why. They never gave an explanation, and now they're like nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd you go?
Yeah.
And then my mind starts turning to like, when you guys get pregnant or something?
Yeah.
You didn't want to like tarnish your Christian. You're like, what happened? It's probably not true, but I mean, that's kind of where my mind goes. But
yeah, you always wonder. I don't know. Maybe they just decided they didn't want to do music anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, or they just maybe they did. They wanted to settle down and have families and stuff.
Yeah.
There's quite a few that have done that.
Yeah.
And then they'll come out later, years later, and start releasing music again.
Yeah.
So, what was I going to say? So we got Crystal Myers. So basically, early pop stuff is kind of similar to
like
what you
Christian, and like Toby Mac.
Oh yeah.
Is like
can't go wrong there.
Some of my earliest memories of music. Just a lot of like Christian music, I guess, and like church songs, like worship songs, and
you probably have more of that than any of the other kids, with the exception of maybe Aiden, just because we were 3 years old, I think, when me and Mom got saved and started going to church.
I was young.
So that's about that age most people would start remembering music.
Yeah.
You're not going to remember anything when you're 1 or you know, most likely anyway.
Yeah, but now I remember singing songs in worship at Calvary Chapel, and I remember K-Love on the radio, and like,
and K-Life, there was K-Life back then.
K-Life, and then Air One was later on. I went through that phase when I was in like, I want to say like junior high maybe, where like Air One was like all I would listen to, because there was more of those like, not quite Radio U alternative, but kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Like Capital Kings, remember Capital Kings?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like
dancey.
Yeah, like dancey. I don't want to say dubstep exactly, but like.
See, okay, so that's the one. If you listen to Aiden's episode, that's what the word I was trying to think of.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
Yeah, because I was like, no, they used to. It's this kind of music, and he's like EDM. I was like, no, it's like this thing, and they would always call Capital Kings that. And I told Aiden that later, and I think he's like, they're not dubstep. What are you? I said, I don't know. I just remember that's what everybody's saying. But yes, that album was great.
Yeah, because I went through a phase where I was like more into like that kind of like more like dancey things, and like some of more of like the Toby Mac music during that time was like very dancey and like I don't know, so like I was like into that, and as I started to kind of like morph like my music taste as I got older and like listen more. But yeah, it was honestly majority Christian music that I would listen to for as long as I can remember.
At what point did you get to where you started to go into secular music?
I think it was probably like high school.
Okay.
Because it started with like, we'd go to our friend's house and we would play Just Dance. And there's secular songs and Just Dance. And like, that was really exciting because we never got to hear secular music. And we're like, oh my gosh, we finally know the songs all our friends are talking about. But even though some of those on Just Dance are like old songs too, that like aren't even like popular anymore. But yeah, there was that. And then it'd be like, oh, the youth group were going on a trip, and in the car, like they would let us play whatever music we wanted to play. And so like my friends were playing the music they'd like to listen to. And I was like, oh, like I like this. And then, I think it was like high school, maybe even junior high, when I started asking for Justin Bieber music.
Oh, okay. Yep. I remember that.
I was a believer during the Baby era, and like.
Yes, because you guys all sang that song.
Yeah.
We have a video of that somewhere.
Oh yeah, with the exchange students.
It was you, Aiden, and Lam. Yeah, from China.
That was funny.
China? She was from China. Yeah. That was awesome.
But yeah, I think that was when I first I feel like that was the first time that I asked if I could download secular song. Was probably Justin Bieber. It was either that or Taylor Swift. I don't remember. But yeah, where I was like, oh, my friends really like this song. Can I download it so that I can play it for them because they like it? I don't really like him, but can I download it for them?
Right.
And you're like, okay. And then I listened to it over and over and over and over and over and over until I memorized all the words to Baby by Justin Bieber. And
so you lied to me. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
I was in denial. Because that was the same stage where I was like, I didn't like anything that was cool. I was like, oh, everybody's wearing skinny jeans. Psh, I'm not going to wear skinny jeans. Right. Or like, everybody likes camp rock. Lame. Like, I don't like camp rock. I would never wear
skinny jeans. I don't care who likes them and wears them.
No, I still wear skinny jeans even though they're not cool anymore, apparently. I'm not trendy with my clothes.
Yeah, so again, it's interesting the kind of the stage you were in with us, because, like I said, we got saved when you were very young, and when that first happened, I mean, I had 600 something CDs of secular stuff.
Yeah,
I sold all of it, like literally got rid of anything, which is from when I talk to people, it seems like a pretty typical response when a person first becomes a Christian. They're like, okay, I gotta get everything that's not Christian. And then a few years later, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe get rid of like the Eminem CDs and the stuff that's like very anti-God kind of, stuff, but not, there's plenty of secular bands that are totally fine, even though they're not Christian or whatever, But getting rid of all that, so when you were young, that's all we listened to.
Yeah.
Like me and Mom, that's all we listened to.
Yep.
To where, and when you came in with the Justin Bieber and that's probably when we first started having that conversation.
Yeah.
Me and Mom were like,
figure out,
okay, no, it's not Christian, but it's also not bad either. It's not like it's got profanity or sexual stuff in it or anything like that. So, okay. And now with Addie and Asher, I mean, although Asher could care less about music at this point, but now with Addie, it's like she's probably heard a lot of secular music at her age already, just because me and Mom listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to it. Mom doesn't listen to a whole lot of music. But, but I mean, I'll just do, as long as it's, my whole deal is as long as it's not offensive in any way.
Right.
If I
you
don't
wouldn't
care
just put on the radio, and just be like, oh, whatever. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because even with the work car, sometimes they'll have a station on and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When I was younger, you could not play that on the radio.
Yeah.
There's no way you could play that on the radio.
And that's I don't listen to the radio. I don't know if people still do that often, but I don't listen to the radio. I don't even know how to work the radio in my car. I have Bluetooth on my phone and I have Spotify. I pay for Spotify Premium, and that's where I get everything from.
Yeah. I keep being told I need to get that.
I know. I think it's so funny. You always bring that up. People are like, oh, Spotify. And you're like, yeah, I tried it. Couldn't get into it. Like, I think it's great because I have access to anything that I want.
Right.
And I know you have such a large music library that you're like, you pretty much have access to whatever you want anyways. But I'm like, but I could literally look up some random song. If somebody's like, hey, have you heard of this? Great. I got it downloaded. I can listen to it whenever I want. And price-wise, honestly, because it's like $10 a month for the premium without ads.
Yeah, it sounds great. I mean, it's like having the world's largest jukebox at your disposal.
But I feel like you got to make it worth it, because if I'm exclusively listening to Taylor Swift, I could have bought those albums for cheaper than I've been paying for Spotify this whole time,
Sure.
But it's nice to be able to have, if I'm like, hey, I want to listen to Crystal Myers, I can just pull it up on there. Or like, oh, Olivia Rodrigo, new album, great, let's listen to it.
Right. And it's usually pretty good about getting them like right away, right?
Oh, yeah,
right
as soon as it drops, it's on there. Yeah, so you just listen to it as soon as it's out, and it's great. And like Aiden's music is on there, and so I can be able to listen to that. And like,
does all his new stuff get released on there?
I think he does, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's where I listen to his music. I don't do YouTube or
does he have to pay for that?
Apple Music. I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he has to pay for that or not, but so that's earliest, and then so Justin Bieber's what got you into the secular side of things.
Yeah, and then I feel like Taylor Swift was around the same time or shortly after, where I think I heard Teardrops on my guitar on a Kids Bop CD.
Okay.
And that was probably my first introduction to Taylor Swift, honestly, because it wasn't even Taylor Swift, it was just like her song.
That was that instant?
Kids Bop.
Were you instantly like, this is fantastic?
Yeah, I think so. But also a lot of that was probably just because it was popular. It was what all my friends were listening to. So I was like, of course I love it. And like, girly music about love and relationships, like, because, I was boy crazy, and that was everything to me.
I don't know why you were. I told you that they had cooties from
I know.
I'm sure that helped.
But yeah, no, I was crazy. And it was just like, songs about love and books about love and movies about love. So I think I liked the love song aspect of it. But yeah, I mean, as we can talk about Taylor Swift now. I have lots to say about that.
We will talk about Taylor Swift for sure. I mean, especially because you're all caught up on all the other episodes. I'm sure you heard, I think, was this the last one, I think, we were talking about that.
I almost told you, I was like, you need to put a trigger warning for 50 on this episode.
But see, that's my point.
I know.
That's exactly my point, that something like that can be said about a singer and have such a reaction like that. Like, how dare you? Don't ever say anything bad about my Taylor.
But so, this is what I always say. I tell Q this all the time. I'm like, every single person, everybody likes Taylor Swift. If they say they don't, it's either one, they're lying, or two, they have not listened to enough of her music. They only see her as cookie cutter, pop princess, only sings about breakups, so full of herself.
Right.
The end. That's it. I feel like it's one of two things. And I know that that's probably like obviously not true. Some people just, it's not their style, and that's okay.
Well, I think there's some people that say, I think there's different kinds of people, and people I've talked to even on the show before about, some people will say, I respect her as a songwriter, as a singer, but I don't like her as a person.
And that's fine.
Right. Like, I don't like, I just listened, I didn't even tell you this yet, but on Candace Owens, I listen to Candace Owens sometimes. She's touch and go for me. Sometimes sometimes she annoys me, and sometimes I think she has some really good things to say. But she was talking about Taylor Swift because this whole thing with Chloe something. Joe Jonas, one of the Jonas brothers. I don't know what Jonas brother
the one
was.
who just got divorced?
Just got divorced from his wife, whose name I think was Chloe something. I could be wrong.
That was Sophie.
Sophie.
Yeah,
it is. Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner. Yeah.
Sophie Turner, yeah. So, and I guess this, whatever Jonas brother she was married to used to date Taylor Swift like a million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now Taylor Swift and Sophie Turner are hanging out together. And the point Candace, and again, you're getting into like why people do what they do, who knows? But her whole point was like, the fact the whole episode was called "Why I Will Never Be a Swiftie," and her whole point was like, she has the mindset of a 15-year-old girl. Still, she's like in her 30s now, and she has the mindset of a 15-year-old girl because she's like, oh, you're that boy that broke up with me like 20 years ago. Oh, you just broke up with him too. Let's get together and gossip about him, and let's let him see us together on TV and stuff. Like this whole thing. It's like, what?
Yeah. So that's what I would say to that is I don't think that's the case. I think all of these celebrities, not all of them, but like they have like a camaraderie and a friendship, and I don't think it's like, oh yeah, like let's get back at him together. It's like, oh, fellow girl celebrity, you've gone through this hard thing. I support you. Let me be here to support you.
Right.
Like I feel like that's more of her thing. It's more of like a girl supporting girls versus.
That's kind of like the bright side. That's the good way to look at it.
Yes, and that's the way that like obviously I've never met her. I can't tell you who Taylor Swift actually is as a person. Never met her, but from what I know of her, that's what I like to think would be the thought process behind it. Not like, oh, let me get back at him or like whatever. I don't know. And because I think honestly, those like old grudges that are like coming back as she's releasing the Taylor's version of these albums. So she released Speak Now Taylor's version, which has songs about Joe Jonas on it.
Right.
And about their relationship. But it's like all fun and games now. Sophie Turner posted a video of her singing the song, or she posted something of the song that is very clearly, everybody knows it's about Joe Jonas. She posted it and was like, this is a banger, like when they were married. This was like 2 years ago or whatever. She posted, so it's all fun and games. She's not like, oh no, she wrote a song about my husband and it's back out and people are all hating him, like whatever. The only guy that we actually have beef with is Jake Gyllenhaal.
Which he's Red, right?
We don't like him.
Is that the Red album?
Yes, that would
Which
be,
most would say is her best album.
Yeah.
So
that would be like All Too Well is about Jake Gyllenhaal. We all know that, and we all collectively dislike Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, but it's not like he's not, I doubt he's sitting somewhere going, oh, I'm so upset. Like, I can't believe that she wrote this album about me and these songs about me.
I wouldn't go throw bricks through his window and be like, you suck, you hurt Taylor Swift. Like, I don't really care. But
isn't it funny? So it's funny though, like, and I say this not just with celebrities or anything, but I like, even if I have a friend or something and they're having relationship issues or whatever, and you'll hear the one side of it or whatever. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, there's definitely another side to this.
I'm sure.
So when you're dealing with somebody like Taylor Swift, we never get the other guy's side. We have no idea what really happened in that relationship. All we know is what she's writing about in her songs. And if she writes a song about, oh, this guy cheated on me and he's a big jerk face and all this stuff, and all of the Swifties are like, oh, we hate that guy. We can't believe he cheated on Taylor.
Yeah.
You don't even know if he did. For all you know, she cheated on him.
Yeah.
And then she swapped it around for the song.
Yeah. And I agree. Totally true. We don't know what's going on, like, on the inside. But also, I'm like, first of all, I don't care. It's a song.
Right.
And it's a good song. It makes for good writing. People are like, oh, she writes about his relationships. So it's relatable. Everybody can relate to relationship things, the good, the bad, the in-between. And that's why I think her music is so popular, because there's a song for everything.
But that's not even really true anymore. Like I think her last
about it being about relationships.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right?
I hate when people generalize her music to be like, all she writes are breakup songs. What?
Well, she started in the country market. That's what all country is about. Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm like, so that's what I mean when people are like, oh, she doesn't have a lot of range or talent, she's just cookie cutter pop princess. It's like, okay, what have you heard? Shake It Off, 22, like great songs, but they're so much better. Listen to All Too Well, listen to Death by a Thousand Cuts, listen to Cornelia Street, like such good songs. And I'm trying to think like what else. There's like a bunch that have like really good, like deep, meaningful lyrics. Oh, Bigger Than the Whole Sky, so sad. That song
have I heard that one?
Sad.
Is
Probably
that new?
Not.
What album's it on?
Oh.
If it's on Folklore, no.
I want to say it's one of the
Midnights.
re-releases. It was one of the vault songs, I think.
Okay.
I can't remember which one now, but it's really good. I think that song is about miscarriage.
Oh, okay.
Whether or not she's talking about herself or not, I don't know, and that's not my business to know. But if you listen to it, she's like, goodbye, goodbye, you were bigger than the whole sky, you were more than just a short time. I've got a lot to pine about. I've got a lot to something. And then I'm never going to meet what could have been, would have been, should have been you. And that right there, that just sums up like pregnancy loss. Like that's what it sounds like to me. And it's this heartbreaking song. And I'm like, people don't hear this side of her music because people who just listen to her singles on the radio, they're not going to hear that.
Right.
You know, and so like I like both. I like her songs that are just so lyrical and like so deep and just beautiful, and like the way she uses so many different like literary devices in her writing. And I don't know what they're all called. I've seen videos where people break them down and they're like, oh, she does this thing where she'll use the same word but in two different meanings of it. Like I'm trying to remember. She was talking about, I just watched this video like 2 days ago. The song Lover, I think, where she's like, I'm trying to remember. I don't know, but there's things where she'll say the same word and then use it one way and then say the same word again but use it a different way, and like that kind of makes it, it's very like, I don't know, like it's cool the way she does that and the way she like does like double meanings with words, and like I just love stuff like that. So that's why I think like her writing is so good.
Yeah, and back to what you were saying a minute ago, I would agree with you that if anybody says these words, I don't think Taylor Swift is talented at all, then I would say, then you're not. Yeah. Then either you have some personal vendetta against her that you're not allowing yourself to believe it. Yeah. Fine, say you don't like the music. Just say it's not my style, or even say I don't like what she's singing about, or I don't like her as a person, or I don't like her face, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But the fact, especially in a pop saturated world of music right now, where all these teeny bopper singers are just singing what other people wrote for them.
Yeah.
And she's writing her own music. She's writing her own songs. She's gone through so many different genres, which is impressive. Yeah. So, I mean, whether you like her or not, you have to at least admit that.
Yes.
That she is extremely talented songwriter.
Yes.
I mean, you've probably heard me say before, I listen to her voice and I don't think to myself, oh, that's the best voice I've ever heard in my life. She's a good singer. I don't think she's the greatest singer I've ever heard. Yeah. But for me, I'm more impressed by someone who can write a song that is catchy and good and relevant, and that's hard, right? Because I'm like, you got a good voice. You're born with a good voice. Here, sing the song. Okay. And it just comes out of them. It's natural. It's just, but people that write like that, they say that's the way it is for them too. They just write. I'm like, how do you just do that? You just write songs all day. Yeah. It's just crazy.
No, but it is. It's impressive. So I think she has songs about so many different things. And I love even like Folklore and Evermore kind of took a different turn where she's just telling these stories. I feel like those albums are like such good storytelling.
They're folksy in that way, yeah.
Yes, and like I like to think that they're all connected. Like we know that there's the 3 songs that are connected. Betty, August, and Cardigan. Is that she calls it the teenage love triangle. She said this like flat out. Like
I don't think I've heard August. I've heard the other 2.
Yeah. So it's, it's about this high school couple, and then like, he cheats on her with this girl named Augustine, and then so these songs are 3 of them, their perspectives on this thing that's happening. And I think that's so cool. But then I also like to think that all the other stories in those 2 albums all take place in the same town. Possibly over decades, I even think. Okay. I think it could take place over decades, but I think it's all connected. There's these stories of all these different people who live in this town, and like the one I played for you, the No Body, No Crime.
That's the one that she killed the...
Yeah. Okay. With like SD, and then like she disappears, and she's like, I think he did it, but I just can't prove it. Like trying to prove that like the husband killed her and like whatever. So I think that's so cool, and like I just love the storytelling of all of that.
Is that something that the fans are all thinking, or is that something you just kind of come up with on your own?
There's some people who found other connections at the time when these were coming out. But I don't think it's like a widespread thing necessarily. I don't know. Like I see other little connections in there. I don't know. Like I had it all mapped out at one point. I had a notebook and I was like writing down like lyrics and like these ones connect here and this sounds like this and this I think is the other side of this story, and like because there's ones on the other one too. There's 'Tis the Season it's called, and what's the other one that's the other side of it? Dorothea, I think.
I don't think I've heard that.
And so those 2 I think are connected because it's about this girl, and she lived in this small town, but then she left to become a movie star. And then she comes back for like Christmas or whatever to visit her family, and while she's back she reconnects with an old flame like in the town, and that's what
so it's a happy song,
kind of,
until it's not.
Yeah. I don't know, like, happy is not quite the right word, but it's not like a sad song. It's not like a bummer song, but like, I don't know, like, and I think it's kind of cool, like, the story just kind of goes together. Like, I don't know, I love that. And I think she really was like, she wanted to do that. This was like during COVID, and she's like, want to do something different with my music, because like she's talked about this before, and so she's like, I wanted to go into like doing something like a little bit different. So she does a little more storytelling, and like they're not all necessarily about her. Or like The Last Great American Dynasty. I know I've played that one for you. Yeah,
I have that one, I think.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's
also
on Folklore?
Folklore, I think.
Yeah, I have that album. The only ones I don't have are Evermore and Midnights.
Midnights, yeah.
And none of the Taylor's versions. Yeah. I don't have those either.
Yeah, because the Taylor's versions, as far as the re-records of the original songs, they're all right. I honestly...
But it's hard, right? Once you get used to the original version,
yeah,
it's hard. It's like remixes. It's hard to...
Yeah.
But there's been cases where I hear the remix first, and then I hear the original. I'm like, no, this original sucks. The remix is better.
I honestly don't notice that big of a difference to the point where I don't really care. So it's nothing new, nothing exciting, really. For those, it's just a matter of like knowing now that I'm supporting her instead of he who shall not be named.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Scooter Braun.
Oh, the guy, the producer? Is he a producer? Right.
I don't know.
See, but even with that,
yeah,
right? She's painted him out to be Satan, and all the Swifties are like, "Oh, we hope that guy dies," or whatever, you know. And it's like, for all you know, she was the problem. Like, you just don't know.
Didn't you hear all these other artists are leaving him now? Like, I don't remember who exactly. I'm gonna say all the wrong people, but I want to say even like Justin Bieber and like whoever else. Like, there was a couple of artists, like big musical artists, that were working with him that are like. We don't want anything to do with you anymore.
That makes you wonder, though, if people see a cash out. Like, if people see... It's like when... And again, I need to be very careful here. When one woman in Hollywood comes out and says, so-and-so sexually assaulted me or raped me or whatever the case is, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden 40 more come out for the same guy. Oh, yeah, me too, me too, me too. And now there could be a few reasons for that. It could very well be that this guy is a sexual predator. Yeah. And these women didn't have the courage to say anything about it until this first person stepped out. And they thought to themselves, great. Now I feel I have confidence. It happened to me too. Let's all band together and get rid of this guy. Yeah. But it could also be, hey, I was in a relationship with that person, even if it wasn't romantic, if it was just work related, right? Mm-hmm. I was around him. See, so you have to at least have evidence of being around the person for the claim to hold any water, right? Because like, oh yeah, I used to work I was a secretary, and also this one time after everyone else went home, this thing happened. Mm-hmm. See, because then you can throw that in there. So it could be people just looking for the money grab, and say, oh, so and so's taking this guy to court for a sexual assault claim. So I mean, again, can we ever really know? No, the only people that really know is that guy and that girl. Right. That's the only people that know the truth in that situation.
Yeah, but so in this case though, and I could be wrong because I don't remember if Justin Bieber was one of the people who was like leaving him, but he was one of the people in the beginning when all this was going down with Taylor. Justin Bieber was firmly on Scooter Braun's side of like, haha, like screw you, Taylor, you suck. Yeah. Like he very much was not a friend of Taylor at all. Mm-hmm. And so like the fact that if he now, and I could be totally wrong about him being one of the people that was leaving, but like if he's like,
no, I think you're right that he was at least under that guy, because I think what was that movie, Never Say Never?
Oh yeah.
Right. I think that was Scooter Braun was the guy in that movie. Yeah. It has something to do with him and with Usher, I think, were the two that kind of discovered Justin Bieber. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I don't know. And like people are like, oh, so much like drama follows Taylor Swift everywhere she goes. And I'm like, well, yeah, she's like a hugely successful, talented, popular woman. Don't you think people are going to want to take her down? Yeah. Like, because...
But why more her than other big, famous, popular singers? There's plenty of those.
Because, and I mean, it might just be because she does have such an intense following. Mm-hmm. People are scared. She could take over the world.
You don't think it's at all maybe that she draws that on herself on purpose?
No.
Not even a chance?
Nope.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. Yeah. But, and again, it's not like, I watched Miss Americana. I know her so well. But that's what I tell people. I'm like, watch Miss Americana. She has some very real, raw footage of how negative the impact of all of this has been on her. And how But, you know, whatever, the good thing is she bounces back and she drops a killer album because of it. Like, every time you try to take her down, she comes back.
See, and that, to me, that's kind of where it should stay. Like, and that's where I'm at. And that's maybe why I know I've called myself a Swiftie on this show before, just because it's funny when I'll meet especially another guy who's a big fan, you know. But I mean, I'm definitely not what I described before about the can do no wrong, but I don't think I'm like that with anybody. I mean, there's some musical artists, there's actors, there's people that I respect greatly, but I can't go that route. I can't go, and I know you wouldn't say it this way, but just be like this, almost like this worship of this human being, really based on nothing more than her songs have spoken to me. It's not like you know them. It's like you hang out, oh, such a good friend, I go to her with all my problems. No, it's not even that. It's like, oh, I like her music.
Yeah, and I don't think I told you this yet, but I actually got called out by someone a couple weeks ago. I found this little golden book that was about Taylor Swift. And it was a little kid's story about Taylor Swift.
A little golden book?
Yeah.
Like the old ones?
Yeah.
About Taylor Swift?
Yes. And it's a biography of Taylor Swift, and it talks about how, like, where she was born and how she grew up on a Christmas tree farm, and then, like, how she got into music, and, like, it talks all about Taylor Swift. I read the whole thing in the store and was like, it's $6. I need this book.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, so I didn't have to pay for it. I just read the whole book in the store.
I bought it for my child.
Okay.
So that I can read this to my child. And I was showing this to someone, this book that I got, and she goes, you know, at what point does it become, like, an idol? Like, don't you think you should be, like, reading your kids a biography about Jesus instead?
Yeah.
And that got to me, like, bad. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it.
In a good way or a bad way? In a way, like, I hate my friend now, or like, she might be telling the truth? I was really irritated and upset that she would say something like that to me. Because I wasn't upset initially. I went, I was like, well, of course, like, I own several copies of the Bible. I was like, I will be teaching my kids about Jesus and going to church. Like, of course, I'm not going to be like, this is Taylor Swift, we worship her. Like, absolutely not. Like, of course I will be teaching my kids about God. I was like, but Taylor Swift is important to me. She's been very influential in my life. I think she's a good songwriter. I think she's done some really cool things. I said, do I support everything she's ever said and done? No, of course not. But do I think she's really cool and it's part of me and what I love and I want to share that with my kid? Yeah. Yes. And that was my response to her. But then later I'm driving home and I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking about it. Next day I'm thinking about it and I'm just like, why is this bothering me so much? Right.
And so then I was thinking about, like, what kind of image are we presenting? Because she knows I'm a Christian. She is a Christian as well.
Right.
She knows I go to church and all this. But, like, I think it is something that has been talked about often in her presence, because when I'm with her, I'm usually with someone else who also loves Taylor Swift, and the two of us tend to talk about that a lot when we're around her. And so I think to her, she's like, all she hears about from us is Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that is a good point. When people look at me, I don't want them to go, oh yeah, Alora, the Swiftie.
Right.
I don't want that to be the number one thing that people take away about me and who I am. I'm like, my life should be reflecting God and my faith in God first and foremost.
Right.
Like, before anything else, that's what I want people to recognize and know about me. So it kind of got me thinking about, like, the things that I'm presenting and talking about and posting and, like, whatever I'm doing. I'm like, what kind of image am I presenting, and, like, what kind of image are people seeing of me? Sure. So it did. At first, it really pissed me off. I was, like, really upset that she would say something like that. I was like, how could you say that to me? And then, of course, I'm getting all judgy in my head. And I'm going, she's telling me, it's acting like I'm a bad Christian because I love Taylor Swift. And I'm like, she wears clothes like this and she does this with her boyfriend. And, like, thinking all these bad things, like, about her, and being like, oh, how dare she, like, judge me when she's doing all these things too that are not Christian. But then I was like, why am I so defensive about this? That's what I had to. Because you
think there might be some truth to what she's saying.
Right. And so I had to do a little bit of, like, soul searching and think about that. So now I'm very careful. I don't talk about Taylor Swift around her anymore.
That's the solution.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But I mean, so to understand kind of where this person's coming from, in a sense, like, I don't know, I'm guessing, but, like, for me, what I think about is, if you're talking about, like, famous people or people in history that you're going to teach your kids about, you know, you might think of people that really just impacted the world in some way. Like, you got, you know, I don't know, off the top of my head, plenty of people that have just really shaped our world, you know.
And that's exactly what I told her.
Right, but I mean, you would think of people that, like, change things for the like massively, like people like Martin Luther King Jr. or Abraham Lincoln, or some of these people that have really changed the world.
Not put Taylor Swift on that.
That's what I'm saying. Like she's wrote some good songs.
I think she's
great songs.
Paved the way for women in music.
Really?
And she is an inspiration for female celebrities to stand up for themselves. And
well, let's talk about that then. That's interesting. So, I mean, like, obviously there was plenty of successful female musical artists way before Taylor Swift was even born. So, I mean, in what ways do you think that she accomplished that?
I think she's just so, like, she's dealt with so much backlash of so many things, and people love to hate her, and the whole Reputation era when the whole world, and obviously not the whole world, but like everybody was like, oh, Taylor Swift, we hate her and all this stuff, and that's where Reputation came from.
Right.
Was all of that hate that she was getting from all these people for whatever reason, and like all this stuff. But she comes back from that, and she's like, still here, like, come at me, like, whatever you're gonna do, I'm just gonna come back stronger. And like, I don't know, and I feel like she's still successful in that. It's not like none of these like scandals or backlash or whatever have been enough to take her down and ruin her career. Like, nothing is enough for that, because she stands up for herself. She's like, great, cool, you want to call me that? Awesome. She has a song on her new album 1989, Taylor's version, coming out. One of the bonus songs from The Vault is called Slut. That's the name of the song. And so now when you Google Taylor Swift Slut, that's all you get is her new song that's coming out.
Oh, instead of articles
and
about
like,
people.
Yes.
Okay. So you think she did that on purpose?
Oh yeah, for sure. She's a mastermind. She literally says it in one of her songs. It's called Mastermind, and she's a genius. No, the things that she does and plans ahead, it's crazy. It's kind of scary.
Right.
But yeah, crazy. And so like, I don't know. I feel like nothing can take her down. Like, nothing can shake her. And we could even talk about whether or not that's even a good thing. Like, it is kind of scary.
Because then you start thinking about people like Alexander the Great, and things like that, where the whole world, I can take over the whole world, and then he gets killed by a microscopic virus.
Yeah.
But I mean, because obviously, as we're both believers here, we know that that's not reality, right? Yeah. That's not the way that works. People can rise to a certain level, but you can't be God. Yeah. Even if you try to be God.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think she has like just this influence on people, and she's just like such an inspiration to so many people. There's something else I was just gonna say that I forgot.
You need a notepad too, so you can take.
Oh no! And again, so this is where like I don't necessarily agree with everything that she supports and says and does and whatever. I don't want to get into that too much. Right. But she is a feminist icon, and she really encourages people to vote. Anytime there's an election, she gets on and she's encouraging all her fans to vote, and she's like
just to vote or to vote her way.
Just to vote. She says now's your time, register to vote. She never says, here's who I'm voting for, you should support them.
But like, let's say she had a rally, and let's say she had a concert. She played a free show, a Rock the Vote show, and there was 3,000 people there, and she encouraged them all just to vote. Go get out and vote. And let's say that 2,900 of those 3,000 people voted for Donald Trump. Do you think she would be happy about that?
I mean, probably not.
Right. So it's not like she's wanting people to vote. It's like she wants her kind of people to vote.
Of course, wouldn't you want people to vote for who you want?
Well, if that's what I was doing, yes. If I was a singer and I was going to do a Rock the Vote, then yes.
Normal. If she was like, I don't want you to be my fan anymore if you voted for Donald Trump, that would be totally different. Right. Because she's not. I think it's one thing to be like, yes, this is who I'm voting for. Of course, I hope everybody else votes for this person too. Of course, I'm disappointed if they're voting for somebody who I don't think is going to be good for our country.
Sure.
Like, whoever that may be.
Right.
But I think, like, as far as I remember, I've never seen her post, like, here's who you should vote for. The only time she might have posted something on picking a side politically was probably with something with the abortion or, like, women's rights in that way. Right. And, again, that is an issue on which I disagree with her. Like, she supports abortions. I do not. And, like, we fall in that category. But, and I think she talks a lot about politics and stuff like that in Miss Americana. This is one of the movies.
That's the movie, right? Because there's a song called that, too.
Yes, there's a song called that, but it's also the name of one of the documentaries about her. And I watched this with one of my friends a while back when it came out. And it's a good movie, but it's pretty heavy on the political side of things.
Was this the first movie she did? As far as that, because I remember when this came out, it was like, it was the first time she was finally speaking up about her her beliefs on things.
Yes.
Because she was so quiet all these years.
I think it was. I think the Lover era is when she started to become more vocal about politics. Because that's the song she has, You Need to Calm Down, is on that album.
Oh, I like that song.
Mm-hmm. It's a good song, but that was her first, like, where she was really stepping out and saying, I support the gay community, I support their rights, and, like, that was the first time she really kind of came out and said that.
Right. Which is kind of a loaded thing to say, because, I mean, I don't even know what that means. That's why whenever I hear interviews like that, and because she might say, I support the gay community, and I let's say she was sitting across from me, she said, Ryan, I support the gay community. I said, so do I. But I think we mean different things by that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those statements that really doesn't mean anything unless you really explain it, you know?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, because then that was also the album, The Man is on that album.
I hate that song.
I know you do.
I just hate that song.
That's the feminist anthem.
Well, it's not even so much the words, it's the way it's just like, you just brought up the, what's the album?
Lover?
No. The one you just talked about, where she's first going off on people. Look What You Made Me Do is a song. Reputation. So that's the other song I just... But it's only because of that one part. That look what you made me do.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that.
I hate that. It sounds stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
The rest of the song's great.
Yeah.
No problem. But I almost have to skip the track just because I can't. And it's not even what she's saying. It's how she's saying it.
Yeah.
She sounds ridiculous.
I agree. I don't like that part either.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's certain Taylor Swift songs that I don't like.
Right.
I don't listen to. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But I can still appreciate, like, lyrically, like, I think she's a good songwriter, but there's some songs that I don't.
And this is probably prematurely getting political, but if, like, when we have a singer like Taylor Swift, obviously, and you'd probably agree with this, most of the people, especially these days, that are huge fans, I mean, I know you're kind of an anomaly in this area, but are mostly like left-leaning, liberal. So I mean, when she's at a concert and she's speaking out, and this was the critique of that movie. This is what I'm talking about. What was the movie called?
Miss Americana.
Yeah. So when that movie came out, this was kind of the whole critique, and everybody was hailing, oh, she's so brave, she's so brave. But the critique was, well, it's not really that brave when you're saying something to a big crowd of people that already believes you. Yeah. You want to be brave, Taylor. Stand up in front of your audience next week and tell them that now you're pro-life.
Yeah.
That would be brave. Right. Or that you support Donald Trump, or that you, like, that would be brave, only because you're flying in the face of the vast majority of your audience.
Right.
Right? You know, it's like they always talk about these Oscar speeches. Oh, and Michelle Williams was so brave to get up there and talk about her abortion story and about how she got an Oscar because of her abortion, and having everybody get up and applaud her. That is not brave. She knows that almost everybody in that room believes in that already.
Yeah.
You're not saying anything new. If she would have got up and said, you know what, I am now anti-abortion and I regret getting my abortion, that would have been brave. Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? So
yeah, because the majority of the people who speak out about those things are left-leaning, because they're not going to get any backlash.
Exactly.
They can say whatever they want, and like, that's the popular view. And I think on TikTok, with the way social media is now, I think social media and TikTok especially has like radicalized the political game. Like, it's insane how quickly information travels, how stupid people are, because they'll believe anything. They see a TikTok video where somebody is like, oh, I hate this guy. Oh, yeah, I hate that guy too. Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Why? Do you even know who that guy is?
I know.
Probably not.
And they know that.
Yes.
The media knows that.
Yep. I had this problem lately. It's not exactly political. So there's this little girl. Her name is Everly, and she recently released a song. She's 10.
That's an awesome name. I like that name.
Yes. Her family is a YouTube family. They've been on YouTube for years. I want to say they're somewhat conservative, which is part of why people don't like them. But she just released a song. It's called Like Taylor Swift. And she sings the song about how she wants to have a fun summer and let her hair down like Taylor Swift. And she gets to the bridge of her song. She wrote the song herself. She's 10 years old. The bridge of the song, she's basically just listing a bunch of Taylor Swift songs. And she goes, you know, like a Dear John, like a something something, and like all these Taylor Swift songs. And it's cheesy. It makes no sense. She's 10.
Right.
People are hating on this little girl on the internet. They're like, oh, I hope Taylor Swift sues this little girl. Like, I can't wait to see all the angry things like Taylor Swift's response to this. She's going to hate this little girl for...
Because she's conservative. If she was liberal, from a liberal family...
I don't know if that's necessarily like a huge part of this, because this is the thing. People are only seeing this 5-second clip where she's naming Taylor Swift songs. That's it. That's all they see.
Right.
And people
why
are
is
like,
that bad?
Right.
To name Taylor Swift songs. It's not like she's saying, here's some Taylor Swift songs, and they all suck.
Right.
You know?
And like, I think because it doesn't make any sense. If you listen to it, it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
But people are like, oh, you know, some man forced her to sing this song so they could get profit off her. And like all these people saying all these things. I'm like, that's not even true. So I went to her family's YouTube channel and I watched the music video that this little girl released. I watched the whole video. And I was like, first of all, that's a small portion of the song. Second of all, I don't think she's violating anything by naming Taylor Swift songs. People reference Taylor Swift all the time in their music.
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Sure.
Like, and so people are just hating on this little girl for this song. And I was like, what were you doing when you were 10? Can I hear the song you wrote when you were 10?
Right.
Please?
If you even did.
Yeah. Can I see the music videos you made when you were 10?
Right.
Want to see the ones I made when I was 10? Like,
yeah.
People are ridiculous. And I was
know.
like, stop hating on this little girl just because other people are hating on this little girl and everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. I'm like, you don't even know the story.
So what Taylor Swift should do, and if she really is the person you just described a minute ago,
come out and support it.
She would jump in there and tell that little girl,
too.
hey, you're awesome. You take, like you just said, her example to you, Taylor Swift's, is that she's strong in the face of adversity. She keeps going. She doesn't let anybody knock her off the horse.
Yeah.
She should go to the little girl and say, look, I got to deal with this criticism too. You're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And don't let anybody stop you.
Yeah, I think she should. People have even tried to doctor like DMs between Taylor Swift and this family of Taylor Swift being like, I hate you. How could you write this song? And I was like, first of all, do you really think that Taylor Swift would DM them?
Right.
Like,
right.
If anything, she would probably meet with them privately and talk about this. Like, she.
How much time do these people have? That's what I was thinking. These people are doing this. They have time to create a fake conversation between two people.
Well, I'm telling you, TikTok is a huge thing. This is people's careers now. This career didn't exist 10 years ago, but TikTok creator, these people have so much money. They make so much money because they video what they do all day long.
Yeah.
Post it on TikTok.
Must be nice.
It's crazy. I don't understand. And I have a few TikTok creators that I do really like. I follow Matt and Abby. I've told you about them before. A young married couple. They have 2 kids now. They're great. I love them. I think they're really cool. There's other creators that I don't like so much. I think they're fake, and I think they're just trying to get money by doing dumb things and like whatever. But yeah, it's crazy. So TikTok, I think, has changed the game, and I think that's why if you scroll through TikTok, majority of what you see is going to be left-leaning, left-leaning, anti-religion, anti-church, deconstructing Christianity, like. So much of it.
Well, a big part of that is because it's policed, right? Like there's a lot of. In fact, there just 2 days ago, there's that rapper I've talked about before. I don't know if you ever heard him or not, Tom McDonald, who is, you know, I don't agree with everything he says. A lot of his songs, he's very foul. He's your typical rapper, right? He uses profanity a lot and stuff, but he's also very conservative. Yeah. And he's rapping about things that hardly anybody, if anybody, in the rap world is saying, right? And he just had a new album come out, and 2 days ago he released, I think it was the 4th video single, and the title of the song was called Race Wars. And as he's talked about before, the whole point that he's making is, look, the government is trying to pit us against each other. They're trying to, through the media and through the news and everything, make it look like all this racism exists. They're trying to make the white people hate the black people and the black people hate the white people and this whole thing. Anyway, great song. Fantastic. I mean, anybody with, in my opinion, anybody with a brain would listen to it and go, this song is not racist. It's not, it's great. This is exactly what's happening. And and he's calling for the love of everybody. He's talking about he doesn't judge anybody based on what they look like or what ethnicity they are or any of that, or color of their skin or anything like that. But because the song was called Race War, YouTube blocked it. YouTube completely blocked it. Yeah. And like within hours of it coming out, because they said that the term race war is against their policy. It's like, you didn't even listen to the song. Yep. The whole point of the song is there shouldn't be race war. He's not promoting it and saying, hey, everybody, let's start a race war. That's not what the song's about,
Yeah.
right? But simply because it was called that. So then I was getting emails from, because I'm on his mailing list, and I'm getting emails from him saying, okay, everybody, you got to go to this video and you have to spam the comments and mess up the algorithm and all that because we can't let them do this to us and blah, 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 and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's fascinating to me. And then everything happening with Twitter and when Elon Musk took over and like the left lost their minds. Simply, Elon Musk is not a conservative. He is not a Christian. He is not a Republican.
Yeah.
He was simply saying, Twitter is now going to be a place where people of all beliefs and walks of life can express their thoughts. Yes, we're still going to have rules like you can't tell people to kill themselves, and you can't. All that stuff is still going to. You can't go on racist tirades, and you can't. Of course not. But because he took over, now people on the right were going to be allowed to say things.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we can't have this.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
Either nobody has free speech or everybody has free
Right.
speech.
Exactly.
Right. So I mean, it's scary when you look at stuff like that, you know, and we look at that kind of thing. So you're talking about TikTok and how that works, right? Yeah. So anyway,
because there's like so many things you can't say on TikTok. You couldn't say that kill yourself. You can't say that on TikTok.
Right.
You have to say unalive.
Unalive. Make yourself unalive.
Yeah. Or they'll be like, we're talking about books because I read a lot of fantasy books and there's, violence in fantasy books. And they're like, oh yeah, and when so-and-so unalived that guy and like, because you can't say he killed that guy, like whatever. And so like, it's just funny.
It is funny because there's a lot of context where people wouldn't mind that word.
Yeah.
Or they killed Osama bin Laden after he killed thousands of people. Most people wouldn't be, and some people would have a problem with that.
But it's probably just so hard for them to pick and choose, okay, in this case, that's okay to say, but not in this case, and not in this case. So it's probably easier than for just to be like, okay, we're just going to flag this word across the board. If anybody says this, it's immediately flagged.
Right.
But
they should know better now because people just start coming up with other words that mean the same thing.
Yep.
You know,
I feel like there's other ones, but I can't think of
them. Well, I was just thinking, like, I know when you weren't allowed to say vaccine.
Oh yeah, they say the jab.
The jab.
Mm-hmm.
They started saying the jab.
Yeah.
You know, and I started doing that in my episode descriptions now because when you told me that one time,
you were getting flagged.
You're like, hey, Dad, you know these two episodes are flagged? I was like, no, they are. Why? And he said, and he's read something about COVID, something. I was like, I didn't even say anything. It's like,
read more information about
COVID about COVID. Yeah, and there was a little link you could click, right?
Yep.
As if like, oh, you listen to this guy's podcast episode, you're going to be all brainwashed. Yep. So here's a link to click so you can learn the truth.
Instagram does the same thing. When people would post anything, even remotely talking about COVID on Instagram for a while, those would get flagged too.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's nuts. But all right, well, we definitely dipped in some politics there.
Yeah, sorry.
No, this happens all the time.
Yeah, I figured.
I think it's awesome. That's really cool, and that's why these three kind of topics of politics, spirituality, and music usually intertwine.
Go together,
they're. I mean, for most of us, at least those of us that are huge music fans, like there's reasons why those songs mean something, and it's usually a political or spiritual experience, for that. But so. We didn't talk about genre. I mean, we did a little bit. Would you say that kind of like the poppy is your?
Yeah, I'd say the joke that everybody says. They're like, oh yeah, I listen to all kinds of music. And it's like the all kinds of music and it's all the different genres Taylor Swift has done. So that's what I like to say. But yes,
so you don't like hip hop then? Because she has yet to drop a hip hop album.
I don't know. Have you heard she was on I'll have to find the video for you. She does some video. I don't know who the rapper was. That's how out of touch I am. But there was some rapper guy, and she rapped on this video with him.
Somebody was telling me about. Was it you telling me about this? Somebody was telling me about this.
I'm like 8'4", blonde hair to the floor, and she sings this whole she raps, and it's really funny.
And it's pretty old, right?
Yeah.
It's back in the day.
Okay. From a while ago. I'll find it for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, so typically pop generally. I do listen to a lot of worship music and like hymns. I really like old hymns.
Okay. Tell me why you like old hymns more than traditional worship.
I think kind of the same. I know how you feel about this too. I think it just feels more genuine. It's just like a genuine worship of God versus a lot of like focus on self and what can God do for me?
Right.
And I think they just talk about the gospel so purely. The one I like is In Christ Alone, I think.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I think it's that one. Right? Yeah, In Christ Alone is probably my favorite hymn because I think that just it tells such a story, and when it gets to that part talking about see, I can't remember the line now. I knew I was going to blank on this once I was here because I'm thinking of the verse after it about like him the resurrection, but like the verse about him being on the cross and like, oh, scorned by the ones he came to save. That line gets me every time, and like Yeah, it gets me so emotional, because I think that's what's the most powerful to me, and this is kind of dipping into spirituality in my story, but like, it's just the magnitude of like what he went through on the cross for us. Like, I get so emotional, these songs that talk about that, like, that's what gets me, and like, because it's so powerful. I think that's a love that I cannot even fathom, and so I love these old hymns, because I feel like they really just kind of capture that and just talk about the glory of God and his creation, and just like, I don't know, it feels so much more simple, like, and because they are old hymns, but I listen to like modern versions of them, I guess, of
it doesn't have to be
Anthem Lights has a whole hymns album, and I love that. And like,
to me with hymns, it's more the words than the sound. Like, you can take the words of an old hymn and turn it into a contemporary, I mean, you could turn it into a heavy metal song, really. I mean, it's the words that are impactful to me, right? And of course, you growing up in a church that was mostly hymns, right? It was you know, but of course we had the digital hymnal, and it wasn't exactly the best quality of music, but it was those words that were so relevant, you know, and really hitting you.
But and I really like worship music, and I think the same thing with like the worship songs. The kind of worship songs that I think are similar. The ones that just talk about the love of God, and I know it's kind of like not controversial, but I know you have thoughts on the song about the reckless love of God.
Oh yeah.
But I love that song, and it's really like impacted me, and like I don't know, like I think it's just like that overwhelming love of God that like chases me down, fights till I'm found, and like I just love that, and it's just so powerful.
I love all that too. I have a hard time with the word reckless, because and I've had discussions with this. I think even with you, I know me and Mom have talked about this, but it's just reckless sounds like
it's a very human, like,
well, and it's almost like a derogatory, like you never talk about somebody that's reckless as a good thing. Oh, that guy was so reckless and it was great. I mean, it's called reckless driving for a reason. It means bad.
And I agree with you.
So I just don't like the choice of wording. That same guy has another song that I have a problem with for the same reason. That's Zach Williams, right?
I don't know.
I think Zach Williams, I think that's his name.
It's on my playlist, but I don't know who sings it.
I'm pretty sure that's his name. He was supposed to be at the show when remember when Ed called me last minute and they had extra tickets to go, me and Addie went and saw King of Country and that whole deal. So good. He was one of the headliners supposed to be for that show, but he got strep throat or something. He had some ailment that he wasn't able to go, and part of me was like, oh, that's all right. Because I mean he's got a great voice. But again, those two songs I just struggle with. But I overanalyze everything. I've done that my whole life, even pre-Christianity.
That's how I am. There's a worship song that I don't particularly like, one part of it, and I haven't been able to pinpoint why. But it's a part where they say all your promises are yes and amen. And that
all your promises are yes and amen. Talking about God?
Yes. And I don't remember what song it is. I don't remember. And I was reading First Corinthians, I think, the other day, and I read the verse where that comes from. But I still am like, what does that mean? Because I think to me, at first glance, without having read the verse, the context, hearing this, all your promises are yes and amen. To me, that sounds like whatever you ask God for, the answer is yes and amen. Like, whatever you want, you got it. God says yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what they mean. That's definitely not what the verse means by it. But I feel like for people singing that who aren't thinking about that, that's what it feels like. They're like, yeah, all your promises are yes and amen. Like, woohoo.
Well, you got to be careful when you have a big audience like that, because you could have all these people that aren't real theologically trained or biblically trained, and they're just, well, that sounds to me like anything I pray for, God's going to say yes.
And so I think that's why that one kind of like throws me a little bit. But yeah, so we're saying genre. So yeah, like worship music. That's probably what I listen to the most. I almost exclusively listen to Taylor Swift and worship music. Like, that's it.
Because those are so similar.
Well, yeah, I don't really listen to music that often, honestly. I listen to podcasts for the most part, and then in between I'll listen to Taylor Swift usually, or worship, depending on my mood.
But
I mean, 21 Pilots doesn't really have a genre. It's just kind of everything. And so I like 21 Pilots a lot. And so whatever genre you call that, I like NF. That's rap. So I feel like I like a lot of different genres. The only thing I'll say that I don't really like, and you know this, is like heavy metal, screamo. Not really a fan. I can't listen to people sing like that, and it's just too much for me. It's too loud. I get sensory overload.
You should shoot. I'm going to say this on record so you have it later. But you should listen to the song "Too Bright to See, Too Loud to Hear." By Under Oath. Which is a screamy band. But I'm just curious, like if you can bring up the video, because it's a neat video. But I feel like the words, see, I would call that a worship song. But I would show that to people and say, oh, check out this worship song.
Yeah.
What in the world? What are you talking about? I mean, because on first listen, some people that aren't educated might think to themselves, that sounds like Satan music.
You're right, yeah.
No, listen to the words.
Yeah.
It's the same with 21 Pilots, right?
Yep.
There's so many people that don't know 21 Pilots or even a Christian band.
I think Trees is one of the most powerful, like...
I can't listen to that when I drive. I can't. I get blurry-eyed. I can't. It just hits me so hard.
That one hits me
because
too.
that is me all the time.
Yep.
Like, I know where I'm at. I know where you said where you're going to be. Hello, right? And that's the part that gets me at the very end. That hello, right? Yeah. Hello. That's what he says, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, where are you? Sometimes, you know. But it's a weird song because it's uplifting, yet it's also him struggling and questioning, and you know. But yeah. So I mean, 21 Pilots is just like that.
Yeah.
Like you'd never know in a million years, but they have some of the most worshipy Christian lyrics I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's so good.
So
we were just listening to 21 Pilots on the drive.
Oh, did you? Did you shuffled? Or what?
That's what we do. We put it on shuffle and we play the guessing game. We try to guess it as fast as we can.
Yeah.
Like who can guess it first.
I've gotten so
good.
bad at that these days. I'm horrible at it.
Yeah, I was like, we should play when Aiden's here. Like he can. Play
he's good too. He used to be good anyway. I don't know if he's still.
Kewen's pretty good at it. He was getting them last night, like right off the bat. And, like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, love 21 Pilots. That's definitely one of my top like.
And you've seen them all 3 times that I did, right?
Yep.
Okay. But you didn't see NF when we went to see NF, right?
No, but Kewen and I saw NF.
Oh, you just saw NF recently. That's right.
A month ago.
Okay. And that was the Hope Tour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really good.
Yeah.
Love NF. That's another one where like I wouldn't normally be like, oh yeah, I like rap, but like I love NF. Like I think his songs are so powerful, and I love his sound. I like the cinematic kind of like sound to things, and like
right.
I don't know, like I think his stuff is really good too, and really powerful and really deep.
Oh man.
Like really deep. A lot of the lyrics and like.
Yeah, he's another one I can't listen to some of the songs when I'm driving because it's.
I know that. How could you leave us?
Oh, forget it.
Can't.
Forget it with that one. There's no way. I mean, especially when it gets to the end and he's literally crying in the song. Yeah. It's like there's just no way.
No. I have a playlist that's called songs that make me cry.
Yeah. Right? Because you need it sometimes, right? It's good, you know. And I don't have one called that, but I definitely know there's certain songs. Mom knows what a bunch of them are.
Yeah.
If I'm in the car and it comes on, if I just have it on shuffle, I skip it immediately.
Yeah.
There's that song by Mark Schultz.
The Cinderella one?
No, that's Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Oh.
So there's those kinds of songs about your kids growing up. Well, I guess the Mark Schultz one's that. But there's a Cinderella song, there's Butterfly Kisses.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those songs are just like, oh my gosh, that lyric in Butterfly Kisses where it said, I know the cake looks funny, Daddy, but I sure tried. Mm-hmm. It kills me every time. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I don't know why. It just kills me. And because I think about you girls when you were little like that. But no, the Mark Schultz one is... oh shoot, what was this? Oh, it's gonna kill me. It's all about how he's so busy. Oh, you don't even know who I am anymore, I think it's called.
Oh, maybe.
You don't even know who I am anymore.
I feel like I've heard that one.
Oh, it's all about like part of it talks about with his kids, and he's working all the time. And a kid says, I used to wait at all my games and still you never came.
Yeah. Oh, that would get me.
Yeah, and he's like... but
I cry and everything. So.
He's like, I turned around to see my son. I remember his first birthday. Now he's 21. I missed his life. I missed it all. So I can't even talk about it.
Yeah.
But then there's a whole part even with the wife. Like she's waiting home late. He's working late. And the whole thing is like... You don't even know who I am anymore. The kids are saying this to him.
Yeah.
And then the wife is saying this to him. And then in the last part, he's talking to God. And he's saying, I don't even know who I am anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
because life has passed me by. And I've wasted all this time doing all these things I thought were what was important. But everybody's grown up around me. And now it's over. And I can't have it back. Kills me.
Yeah.
So there's no way I can listen to that ever. Like unless I'm sitting somewhere. And even then I'm like, okay, unless I'm in the mood for this, I got to.
Yeah.
But he has a way with that.
Yeah.
Like Mark Schultz, I almost feel like, I said this about the show This Is Us. I always just think, these people literally sat down and said, okay, with each episode, how can we make people cry? Yep. I think Mark Schultz does that with every song.
Yeah.
How can I make somebody cry, you know?
I cry in everything.
Mm-hmm.
I cry watching videos of little siblings meeting their baby sibling for the first time.
Oh, that gets me too.
And they're so cute, and it gets me, and I cry watching videos of people's weddings, and like...
Or how about somebody who's been in the military for 5-6 years and they come home and see their wife, especially when it's a surprise?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, stuff
Dude,
like that. Especially with like the kids gets everything.
Yes.
It gets me so bad. But I literally cry and everything.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
What a wuss.
I know. I'm so emotional. It's ridiculous.
The funny part is you get that from me and not your mom.
Yeah.
That's what's funny. Mom is one of the strongest people, I think, when it comes to that I've ever met. And I've always been emotional.
There's been a few things. Because usually when I say, I cried watching that, it means my eyes watered. Or if I was like, I really cried, it means there was some tears. Right. But there's a few things where I had to stop because I was sobbing uncontrollably.
What they call that ugly crying, right?
Yes. And one of those was The Notebook.
Oh, the movie?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, it's
I
bad.
couldn't finish it. I stopped it and I sobbed for 10 minutes and then I never finished it. I never went back.
Right. It's funny because that's one of those movies that most people would say that
I hate the whole movie.
Yeah.
Except that.
Yeah.
I can't.
I think it's the end, when they're old and they're...
Yep.
Well, I guess it's through the whole thing. It's kind of bouncing.
Yeah.
If I remember right, it's bouncing back and forth between...
And she doesn't remember him.
Yeah.
And I cried. And being married now, stuff like that hits me harder. Because I think this is why I'm so emotional. This has nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
It has to do with everything.
I think this is why I'm so emotional because I'm very empathetic, I guess. I always think, how would I feel if that was me? And that's what gets me. I go oh my gosh, I'm watching this movie and and her kid died. How would I feel if my kid died?
Right.
And then I'm a mess. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that must be so painful and so hard. Or everything.
Which is really the point, I think, for writers.
Yeah.
That's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to reach the audience, whether it's through music, movie, books, whatever it is. You want to reach into that person and make them feel what your characters are feeling.
I just feel for people,
Yes.
and that's why books get me a lot. I love when I can just connect with a character in a book where if they feel it, I feel it.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I get so into it. And I think that's why things affect me so strongly because I'm putting myself in that position. So when it's anything to do with marriage or losing your spouse or even just divorce or fights in marriage, all those things, I put myself in that and go how would I feel if I lost Kewen or whatever, and it breaks me and I cry and
Right. You're welcome.
Yeah.
A for genetics.
Yeah.
All right, so let's top this off. We probably already talked about these, but so let's just name them top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been trying.
I'm guessing Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift is number 1 for sure.
Okay.
21 Pilots is probably number 2.
Okay.
After this, it gets kind of fuzzy because I go through such phases. The only artists that are for sure, doesn't matter when, never gets old, Taylor Swift, 21 Pilots.
Right.
Always in the mood
Everything
for that.
they put out is going to be good. Yeah.
Well,
never disappointing.
Always listen to it. A close third would be NF, probably, what I would say would be number 3.
Okay.
I love NF. I like everything that he's
That's so interesting. I didn't know this about you.
It's a more recent thing.
Okay. Because I remember me and Aiden have been into him for years now, since 2015, I think the first one came out. And you've always been it's okay.
Yeah, it's more of a recent thing, and I think it might be because of Kewen, because we listen to it in the car, sometimes.
So was it before you had gone to see him live? Did you already feel that way about him? Okay,
This was only a month ago that we went to see him live, but yeah, it was probably a year, maybe 2 years ago that I kind of started getting NF more. I think Mansion is probably my favorite song.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you that question too.
Yeah.
So the song Mansion is probably your favorite. Did you I'm sure you did you watch the video for Hope when it came out?
No, I actually didn't.
Did you hear anything about it?
No.
Watch it.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
I'll watch it.
It's because there's things in the video that are not in just the CD version of the song Hope.
Oh, okay.
The video itself is a couple minutes longer, and there's parts that aren't in the recorded. And once you watch it, I'll tell you. But, I mean, I wish they would have kept that whole thing on for the CD.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay.
Okay, cool. So it's not,
So we got 3, yep.
And then after that, I go through phases. So right now it's Olivia Rodrigo.
Okay.
I went through a phase where it was, and I meant to look up how to say her name. I always say Halsey, but I don't know if that's right. It's Halsey.
Yeah, that's the way I've heard most people say it.
Yeah, so I really like her album Badlands.
Okay.
Is one of my favorite. I can listen to that over and over. I love it.
Okay.
Not the whole thing. There's some songs that are a little much for me, but
is Halsey is a singer, or is that a group?
I think it's just her.
Just a singer. Okay.
But yeah, I love her voice. I don't know what it is. She has kind of not quite raspy, but I feel like she has kind of a unique voice. If you hear a song, you know for sure. You're oh, that's Halsey. But yeah, the first time I heard her was actually in a Chainsmokers song. She was featured in that.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the song now, but it was super popular a while ago.
I feel like I have a song that features Halsey in it.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I don't think I have any
of a lot of people.
yeah.
I think because of her unique sound of voice.
Did she do a song with Adam Young of Owl City? Maybe?
Possibly.
I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up
But
later,
yeah, see, so like that's not an artist that I could say I'm familiar with her entire music catalog.
Right.
I just really like that one album a lot.
Yeah.
And I like a few other songs by her.
Yeah. Does it take time for you to want to put them in like a top 5 of all time list? Because it's like, because I know for me, I've had somebody like, I think they're the greatest thing ever, and I listen to nothing but that for a year straight. And then after that, I could care less.
Yeah, well,
even going back
exactly
and listening to it, it's like, why did I like this so much?
Right. I go through phases with my music, and that's what I was saying. The only things that are consistent constants,
right.
Taylor Swift and 21 Pilots,
right.
and then I feel like NF kind of.
Okay.
But then after that, I'm like, I can say like, yeah, I love this artist. I love what I've heard from them. Mm-hmm. Do I know all their songs super well? No.
Right.
Do I know every song they've ever done? No.
Right.
Do I like them a lot? Yeah. Do I like these few songs a lot? Yeah. Like. Okay. That's how I feel. So like Alec Benjamin is another one.
Oh yes.
I think he's got a unique sound.
I keep forgetting
like
about
his songwriting. I think he's really great.
Right.
But I go through phases right now. Yeah. Not really in the mood to listen to his music lately.
He's got a lot of songs that are very emotional.
Right.
He's really good at that, at hitting home with that
and
stuff.
I think lyrically, like he's a really good songwriter.
He's brilliant.
Yeah. I love it.
What is he, 25, 20? He's young, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mid-20s?
He's older than me, but
not by much, I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so Alec Benjamin. Another one I thought of while we were talking is Christina Grimmie.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking about the greatest singer we've ever heard.
Yeah,
I think she's got the greatest voice
was great. Yeah.
I have ever heard. I love her, and her story is so sad.
Yeah.
That's one of the songs that gets me. Oh, which one is it? She sings. Dang it, I'm gonna have to find it. But there's one of the songs that she sings that gets me every time. And
yeah, see, I think to this day, I don't think I've ever really heard any of her music. I remember the, like Lava Lamp and some of those ones she did with that other girl. What was that other girl's name?
I can't remember her name now.
Wasn't her name Christina too? No.
No. I want to say it was like Sam, but that's not right either.
Yeah, something like that. Well, no, because she was friends with Sammy, right, for a while. Your friend Sammy.
Yeah, that's right. Because Sammy's the one who got me into her.
And that whole thing was so sad, man. I can't even. I mean, what are the? That's one of those fluke. I mean, that honestly sounds weird, but that reminded me. I have a friend. I don't know if you ever heard the story, but I have a friend who had a cat who was having health problems and was diagnosed with cancer. Did you hear the story?
No.
And him and his wife didn't know what to do. Should we put him down? Should we? They're praying about it. They're like, Lord, what do you want us to do? And he's standing out on his front porch, and this kid comes by walking a dog, and the dog just darts out of the kid's hands, runs straight over to the cat, and kills it instantly.
Oh my gosh.
Instantly.
That's crazy.
Gone. And then he's like, I mean, after everything, and the kid was all, oh, sir, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Oh, he's never done this before. I don't understand what happened. And then he's like, my friend's like, dude, you don't understand what an answer to prayer that was.
Yeah.
Like that now, I mean, it wasn't like, it would be one thing if like the dog went at the cat and the cat was suffering, but it was just out.
Yeah.
Gone.
That's
like,
crazy.
And it saved them the decision of the whole thing. So anyway, weird connection. But I remember when that happened with Christina Grimmie, I'm thinking, what a fluke thing.
Yeah.
She's there. This guy comes up out of nowhere and just does that, like out of nowhere. It was. I mean, wasn't she signing autographs or something?
Yeah.
And then her brother tackled the guy to the ground, and the guy ended up shooting himself in the process. Is that what happened?
I don't remember.
Something like that. I think the killer shot himself in the process.
Crazy.
Yes. And it wasn't even like she was like Taylor Swift status or something. Most people don't even know. Yeah. Even now, as we're talking about this, people that listen to this, a lot of people are going to look it up.
Yeah.
Because like, Christina, who is this?
Christina Grimmie.
Yeah. It's just, dang, man. And she was it The Voice she was on? Or
yeah. She was on The Voice.
Because I remember, she didn't win, though. Right, but I think Adam Levine was her coach, right?
Yeah.
I remember him, after she had died, he had said that she had the best vocal range that he has ever heard in his life.
Yeah,
and that's
I really
a lot coming from him.
I think she's got the greatest voice I've ever heard. I think she's so talented.
Yeah.
And like her music is great. But again, that's one that I can't remember the name of the song. I can't even remember how it goes. I just remember that it was super emotional for me. It's called like, What Would You Do? Or What Would You... something. Because she's talking about, like, what would you do, like, if your child was missing or something. And it's so sad, especially in hindsight after what's happened. It's so sad. I'll have to find it.
It's almost like telling the future kind of a thing?
Yeah, like, it's something, like...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. I'll have to find it. But anyways, so she's great. Love her.
Yeah.
I was gonna see. Let me just double check my list real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
A couple more that I wrote down.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna ask you for a couple songs for each of these artists.
Yeah. Where's my podcast list? Ugh. My phone keeps stopping working.
And then we'll take a break. And then we'll jump into some other
Anthem
stuff.
Lights, we talked about. Oh, Beautiful Eulogy. I've played a song for them for you before.
That's a song? I mean, that's a band.
Yes.
Beautiful Eulogy.
Yes. It's very unique in the sound. I don't even know what genre. It's kind of like spoken word almost.
It's like scat or like what do they call that? Like beatnik kind of stuff where it's like No. It's like slam poetry?
Kind of,
right,
yeah.
That's what they call it, right?
Yeah, and so their lyrics are very powerful, very theologically based. Like, Kewen turned me on to this group. He's like, you gotta listen to this song.
He's turned you on a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, he has.
Wow.
I picked a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're really good. They have some really good songs. Again, can't remember names off the top of my head. It's the name of their album, I know, but I don't remember the name of the song. Yeah. But, pretty good ones. I'm pretty sure I've played them for you before.
Do you know any lyrics to the song you like?
All I remember
so I
is the part that Kewen really likes. Something about he has our tears in bottles or something like that. Like talking about how God knows all of our sorrows. Sovereign is the name of one of the songs.
Okay.
That's a good one. And then there's another one that I can't remember too. But yeah, they're just like really good, and they talk about like.
So they're a Christian group.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I can't think of the lyrics off the top of my head, but I know they're good, and I know.
Well, at least
really
there's the one
powerful.
song you got, Sovereign, so that's one to check out.
Yeah,
so.
Sovereign, that's for sure a good one by them. But yeah, I think that was all the ones on my list. Olivia Rodrigo already talked about.
So let's give me a couple Olivia Rodrigo songs that just give me like 2 or 3 favorites.
Driver's License is a good one. That was probably her most popular one. That was the first single off her first album. That's kind of what put her on the map.
Now she's the girl from the
High School Musical, the musical series.
No, but before that, she was in one of the. Were the dolls?
Bratz?
No. The dolls. Grandma bought you one a long time ago.
Oh, American Girl.
American Girl.
She
was in one of the American Girl movies.
She
I think the one where she was the chef.
Baker Girl.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. I
Totally forgot about that.
I forgot the girl's name. But yeah. So anyway, that's all I know from her. And then I see her.
She was
and
on High School musical series.
Okay.
She was on that. That's kind of like her more
recent.
recent.
That's still going, isn't it? Is she still on it?
Yeah, but her character's not as big. After she started to get like really big, like music wise, she kind of like. I don't know if that was on purpose or her character's not as like.
Well, plus her lyrical content started to get a little more adult.
Yes.
So Disney's probably starting to.
Yes.
Distance
And that's
itself.
what I was gonna say. So yeah, so her first album, like I loved her first album. Driver's License is a good one. Good for You is another really fun one.
Yeah.
That was another like hit one. I'm probably gonna play that one for you later.
Is that like an angry girl song?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's really good. So that one, and then on her new album, I was surprised at kind of the content. Because there was explicit songs on the first album, but I listened to on Spotify. So another thing I love about Spotify, they have the clean versions.
Really?
Of albums. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So Taylor Swift, I have all the non-explicit versions, and Olivia Rodrigo, all the non-explicit versions. Because just personal preference, I prefer not to listen.
I wonder
to that.
if this is kind of a side thing, but I wonder if something like Spotify. I mean, I'm sure they can, but I wonder if that's at all interest to the artists to like look at the statistics and what if it was like. And this probably isn't true, but like say, what if it was like 90% of the downloads were for the clean version as opposed to the explicit? That would, if I was a singer, that would kind of show me my audience wants less of this, you know?
I don't know, and it just blows my mind because I know you're talking about this on a previous episode where I think we were talking to Danny, and you're talking about like, I remember when they used to like they would write entirely different lyrics for the clean version. They still do that. Taylor Swift does that. Olivia Rodrigo does
really?
that. Mm-hmm.
They don't just take the word out; they literally change that lyric.
Yes, they do both. There's some songs where it's just the word is gone, but I think with Olivia Rodrigo, at least this album. I've heard the 2 singles. I've heard the explicit version, so I know where the words are in that one, and I know that in the clean version it's changed lyrics.
Okay.
But then the rest of the songs, I don't hear any like silences or like mutes or skips or anything. So I think it is just they're rewritten. And that just blows my mind. I'm like, why don't you just release that version then?
Well, right, and that
I don't understand.
See, it is. It's a to me. I know people think I talk about this way too much, but it really does fascinate me.
Yeah, me too.
Because as I've said so many times, like I understand that there's a whole group of people. There's groups of people like me who don't like to hear that. Then there's groups of people who don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother them. But I really don't think there's anybody who needs it. Like, in other words, and I've said, you've heard me say this, but I mean, I don't think there's anybody that walks out of a movie theater or
gets through listening to an album and says to themselves, that sure was great.
Yep.
But it sure could have used some more F-bombs. Because, those extra F-bombs just would have really made it.
Yep.
I don't think anybody would care. I don't think if Quentin Tarantino came out with his next movie and he had no swearing in it, I do not think all the Tarantino fans that have been around for that would go, that guy sucks now. I'm not watching his movies anymore. He had no cussing in his movie.
Yep.
There's nobody
That's exactly
like
how I
that.
feel.
Right.
I don't think if Taylor Swift released an album without any explicits, it's going to sell just as many.
Exactly. Right? So that's my thing. Like, who's that for?
Yeah.
Who are you appealing to?
I don't know. I don't understand it. So,
But like Mom was saying when you guys saw them live, and this was like, to me, this is somewhat disheartening too, because was it Betty that they played? Or right, the song, and she said, oh yeah, and she's like, even if like you tried to like not listen to the whole crowd is singing the song.
Yeah.
But she said the whole rest of the show was totally fine. Other than that, other than she said there was some kind of sensual dancing towards the end.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, like as far as like content, and for me to think like Taylor Swift has plenty of songs, especially on her newer albums, that have profanity all over them. So you sing this whole show, and you have
explicit versions of everything.
That I know, but that wasn't there only that one song? Oh, Mom said that was the only one.
No, she played Champagne Problems, has an F word in it. Betty has a couple F words in it.
Okay.
What was the other one? All Too
that
Well,
makes
10-minute
more sense
version
then.
had the F word in it.
That makes more sense because my whole thought was like, why do you have a whole show where
I think I just know the lyrics a lot better than Mom
maybe,
does, so.
But you think to yourself like, I could have brought my 5-year-old to the show, except for that one 5-minute song. Like, why would you mar the whole thing?
And that's just the F
It's like putting an F word in the middle of a Disney movie or something. Like, that whole movie was totally family friendly, except that one part.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. And I mean, I guess that's good then that Mom didn't hear it. But I think it's just because I know the lyrics so well. I knew where they were. And I was like, I was wondering with Mom next to me, I was like, I'm wondering if she notices that I'm not singing the profanity parts. I'm singing the rest of the song, but then I stop and then I don't sing the bad word and then I keep singing. I was like, I doubt she noticed, but I just want her to know.
No, she told me that you were just cussing up a storm.
No.
She's like, I can't believe what Laura was using. No,
I did.
She didn't say anything like that.
I did the chant that they do for Delicate.
She was just saying, what's that? Oh, you did do one?
Yeah, because there's a chant they do for Delicate. They're like, 1, 2, 3, let's go B. And they're like,
horrible. I have to disown you now.
I know.
So Olivia Rodrigo, you gave me one song.
Yeah.
No, you gave me a bunch of songs.
Driver's License, Good For You.
There you go.
And then on the newest album,
Dip.
I really like...
You said something about Dip. Did you say Dip?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what I got.
It's recorded. I can go back and see what you said.
Okay. I don't know what I said.
I thought you said something about a song called Dip. Maybe not.
No. There's a... What's it called? Ballad of a Homeschool Girl. That's a good one. That's a banger. I like that one a lot.
Does it make fun of homeschool kids?
Well, she's talking about how she's socially awkward and like...
Oh.
And just like struggles in like social situations and like...
Now, okay. Hang on a sec, though. So people that say that, you perform in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, I know.
And you're telling me you struggle with social awkwardness? What does that even mean?
I don't know. But it's just funny. I like it.
I don't know. Anyway. All right. So that's Olivia Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Halsey, you got any songs?
I knew I was going to forget the name of it, so I just need to look at the album real quick.
That's a weird song name.
No. Because I know there's the ones that I like to listen to on this album.
Yeah.
I like Hold Me Down and Colors. I really like Colors. That's a good one. That's probably my favorite Halsey song is Colors. Yeah, it's mostly those. I like Castle, too.
Okay.
The first couple songs on the album I like.
Cool.
Yeah, and so like content-wise, some of her songs I don't prefer to listen to because they're not my favorite. Okay. But, yeah.
All right, and then NF, you mentioned Mansion. Is there any other songs?
I do like Mansion. I like a lot of the ones off the new album. I like The Search. The Search is really good.
That's the best one, hands
that's
down.
really good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, since I've listened to music for so long, and every band, every artist has that album that they just reach their peak, and they never achieve that again.
Yeah.
I honestly think that The Search did that. Now, I love Hope. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It is steadily climbing into the number 2 slot because Mansion for me is in the number 2 slot right now. Mansion was number 1, then The Search came along. But Hope is creeping up past Mansion too, but I still think The Search is way better.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he'll ever get that again, but
I like Clouds a lot too though.
The album?
The EP.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Well, Story on its own is just...
Oh my gosh, that one gives me chills.
Totally. And you've seen the video.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. The
gives
video
me
makes
chills.
it even worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a great song. The guy's a genius.
Yeah.
He really is.
So good.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then 21 Pilots?
Oh,
That's
Trees.
a hard one, huh?
Trees for sure
Trees
is one
we
of my
mentioned,
favorites
yeah.
just because it's so powerful to me. Honestly, I just really like Vessel. I like a lot of the songs on Vessel.
Is that your favorite album by them?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
That's the first one you heard, right?
Yeah. I do like the new stuff
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Like I like all the new stuff, and I like some of the stuff off the new album. But yeah, I feel like the ones that I just like really like. I like Ode to Sleep, Migraine,
Mm-hmm.
Guns for Hands. Like they're all like I like that era, I guess.
Yeah, me too.
Of theirs, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
right.
but Trees is probably top favorite.
And then finally, Taylor Swift. Can you pick 4 or 5? I'll give you 4 or 5 on her because I know it's quite hard.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I know you gotta you can narrow it down by eras and be like, oh, what's your favorite Taylor Swift era? And so this is what I've realized now in the last couple weeks of what I say my favorite Taylor Swift era is Red. What my actual favorite Taylor Swift album is probably 1989. Mm-hmm. Or Lover is a close second.
Okay.
So I do really like Cornelia Street.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
one of my favorite songs. That's off Lover.
Lover, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cruel Summer. I really like Cruel Summer right now. I'm really into that one, but that's just a phase thing.
Does it change with the times for you? Like it depends on the day and the week. And
depends on my mood. There's a new one that was on Speak Now, Taylor's version from the Vaults, I want to say, called Timeless.
Okay.
Love that song.
Okay.
It's so cute because she's talking about going into an antique shop and finding these photos, these old photos of couples, and she's like, and it made me think of you, and how even if we met in 1944 and you were going off to fight in the war, we still would have been fine, we would have been timeless, and basically no matter where in time, if we would have met, we would have fallen in love. I know it, and
oh, wow.
It's so cute, and I love it. So
now,
cute, romantic.
Refresh my memory though on the Taylor's versions. Are those songs she wrote for that album, and they're just they just didn't make it onto the album?
Yeah.
And then she re-recorded them, obviously now.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're songs no one else has heard before, but they're not new songs that she wrote.
Yes, that's how it goes. I mean, obviously, how would we know? But
obviously, what?
How would we know? She could have written it now, and we wouldn't know.
She could be lying about it.
Yeah.
But our Taylor wouldn't lie.
But yes, that is what they are supposedly is that
okay.
And then so that's a really good one.
I thought there was a song you told me you have an all-time favorite Taylor Swift song.
All Too Well.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's off Red, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All Too Well, and now there's the 10-minute version from
right.
she re-released.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
All Too Well, 10-minute version. The non-explicit version is my favorite Taylor Swift song.
Okay. All right. Well, I know we already kind of touched on some stuff, which is known to happen. So you know my routes I go with this. It's either we can talk about government stuff, we can talk about presidents, we can talk about governors, we can talk about laws, or you can tell me about what you think are the biggest issues facing our country or our world, and then I'm going to ask you how you would fix it if you could, or those problems that you'll bring up. So I mean, speaking which of, little Miss Clicky Click. Clicky taps.
But yeah, this is part of it where I'm I am not a political person.
Right.
I don't like politics. I don't like to talk about politics. I'm a people pleaser. I do not like to say things that upset people. I don't like to talk about controversial things. Another reason why I was what's the point of me going on this podcast? But I do think that recently I've started to become more passionate about certain issues. I know you always ask people what do you feel is the biggest issue that's facing our world? I would say lack of empathy.
Okay.
People don't care about each other.
Right.
They only care about themselves. They don't think about the other person. I think I do this almost to a fault. So no matter what happens, I'm always giving people the benefit of the doubt. Where I'm yeah, but what is their perspective on that? You don't know their story. You don't know what's going on in their lives. You don't know what's happening with them.
That's true.
I don't know. And so I feel I always take that. I always use this example too, even when we're driving. I think it's so funny. If somebody is speeding past me and cutting me off and going whatever, most people are oh, what's your problem, stupid driver? But I'm oh, I wonder if they're late to work. Maybe their kid couldn't find their shoes this morning on the way to school, or maybe the wife is in labor in the passenger seat. You don't know. And I'm just oh well, go on your way. See you later. Have fun. Hope you get where you're going safe.
Or maybe they're just a big jerk.
Who knows?
It could be either,
know.
right? Yeah, but see, that's a good quality to have, that you're able to look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's exhausting. I think it's funny. There's a quote from New Girl that I always think is just so much me. Where
the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Schmidt is asking Jess, something. He's like, so you just walk around every day caring about everybody's feelings? And she goes, yeah, don't you? And he's like, isn't that exhausting? And she goes, yeah. Like, I'm sure I botched the quote, something like that. And I was like, that's me. I spend every day worried about what other people are thinking and like wondering how they're feeling and how they're doing. And like, I don't know if it's an oldest daughter thing or like, or what, but I feel like that's the biggest issue facing our world.
So it's not so much to you that you're worried about what other people think of you per se. Like there's that
I just
too.
want everybody to be happy.
Right. You're worried about them. So, but like, what do you do in a situation though where two people are at absolute total odds with each other, and you can't? And let's say you're the arbiter or whatever. Arbiter, is that a word?
I don't know.
I'm always making up words on this show. You're the mediator. You're the in between, and you obviously this person says, I don't know, there's one thing and they both want it, or this person says I want this thing to happen, and the other person says I don't want that thing to happen. So you have, in other words, no matter what you answer, you're going to be disappointing one of those two people.
Yeah.
So how do you, when you have you ever come to things like that in life where you have that decision? You haven't yet?
I avoid.
You avoid.
I back out. I say.
Okay. In which case you're not really
making everybody happy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because then both those guys will be mad at you.
So part of it, I don't want to be responsible for decisions.
Okay.
That would affect other people. Like, I don't know. I don't like to be, and that's part of why I stay out of politics. I don't want to make anybody mad on either side. So if I just back out of it and say, you guys do your thing.
Right. Does that have to do with like conflict? Like you're trying to avoid conflict?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I don't like when people are upset. And I do.
Right.
I think that is an oldest daughter thing, because I think the biggest thing is my family. I'm very, very protective of my family, especially my siblings. Like, I just want them to be okay all the time. If I know that they are emotionally distressed in any way, I just want to fix it.
Right.
I just want to fix it. Like, even like if I find out if mom's like, oh, like Addie's in big trouble, she got grounded for this thing, my immediate thought is, I hope Addie's okay. I need to talk to her and make sure she's okay, how she's feeling through this. And like, I don't know. I just am so concerned.
Well, Aiden does that too.
He does.
He's told me before. He's like, oh, I just want to, and he'll ask us permission. Is it okay if I talk to Addie about this? I think I might understand what she's done. I said, yeah, that's that's probably what she needs, is somebody who does understand what they're dealing with.
Right. And and so I think if there's any kind of conflict between any of my family members, I just want to fix it. I just want everybody to be okay. I just want everybody to be happy.
Right.
And like, I don't know. And like, it's not always a good thing.
Right.
Like I'm saying, because you can't, like you said, can't always make everybody happy. There's some cases where somebody's going to be happy with the outcome and somebody is not going to be happy. Like,
right.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. And I don't know if that, you use the word people pleaser, and I'm not sure if I would describe what you're saying as that, because a lot of times people say they're a people pleaser. They're doing sometimes the wrong things just because they want people to be pleased with them.
Right.
Where you sound more like you have a heart for people and you just wish everybody was happy.
Right.
So if somebody's having a struggle or a problem, you want to help them fix that problem so they can
And
be
I never
happy.
want to be the problem.
Right.
I never want to be any sort of inconvenience or anything for anybody, which again is a struggle. And I'm learning this in marriage, that like so often of like my so strongly desire to not be an inconvenience.
Right.
I'm putting my own needs and desires to the side, which as a Christian in a way is a good thing. Like you want to be like sacrificially loving, but at the same time, like you got to speak up about what you want and what you need. And like, and I'm learning that. I'm learning how to be more like assertive, I guess, about like, I don't know, because I'm that person, like going to hang out with a friend, like, oh, where do you want to get lunch? Oh, I don't care, whatever you want, totally fine, I'm fine with whatever. That's me every single time. I'm fine with whatever you pick, because I don't want to be responsible for choosing something that they don't like. Like, I'm like, no, you pick, whatever, wherever's fine, I can do whatever works for you.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of that way too. Like, I think that's something that I've developed over the years, because Mom will even tell you that and I think to my, what's the word? My detriment.
Yeah.
That she wants me to make a decision.
Yep.
But I'm usually very like, really, babe, I don't discriminate. I always say I don't discriminate when it comes to food. I am, as long as you don't make me eat polenta, I'm good to go. I can be happy at most restaurants, most places. I can find something that I will really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm not picky at all, you know. But I think a big part of her is like, I just want you to make a decision. But then I wonder if some of that comes from like, and I'm not saying, I don't know if this is any actual specifics I can think of, but like, I wonder if that develops over time, because you're like, when you do that, you almost feel like the person's disappointed in your choice, and you're like, well, and then you get kind of angry. Because like, I told you I didn't care, and you said you wanted me to choose, and then I did, and now you're not happy with my choice. Like, it's frustrating, you know? So, I mean, are you and Kewen like both like that, or does he make you both are
like,
kind of like,
I don't care, whatever's fine. He's like,
okay.
no, like, whatever's fine. Like, you can choose. And I'm like, no, really, you pick. I was like, you're the picky one, you pick. And he's like, no, I'm fine with whatever. And it's like, we can't decide on anything, which is why we eat In and Out all the time. That's all we eat.
Oh, you can't go wrong there.
We go out. Or Knott's. We go to Knott's because we can choose whatever we want from there. Like,
there you go.
Our food thing. So.
Are you guys going to renew your thing? You said you were thinking about not.
I don't know yet. We haven't decided.
Okay. When do you have to know by?
Like January.
Okay.
We can renew it. I think usually in November you can renew it.
Okay. But it'll be up in January.
But yeah. But anyway, so to kind of tie that back into the politics, so I think that is the biggest issue, is that people don't care about each other. They care about themselves and they care about money. And I think this is like the root of all the issues. And, you know, like with me right now, my biggest issue with things is food regulation in our country and the ingredients that they allow us to eat.
Oh, right.
The FDA does not care about your health.
Yeah.
Because if you get sick, they can prescribe you more poison that gets the money.
Right.
Like, they don't care about your health, which is scary. That's what we think
their
is their
job. Right.
Is to care about how they don't care.
Right.
And like, I never thought that I would be one of these like crazy hippie people who's like, oh, you know, the government doesn't care about your health, but they don't.
Yeah.
They want you to get sick. They want you to buy these expensive treatments and medications. And of course, there is a place for modern medicine. Of course, I'm not going to be like, you should never ever go to the doctor or use modern medicine.
But like, how grand do you think that is? In other words, like we use this term like big pharma, or we use this term like even the FDA. We say the FDA. This company, this group is responsible for supposed to be making sure our food is safe for us, right? And then if we make a claim and say, you know, but they want us to be sick. Like when we say they, obviously we're not referring to the entire company.
No.
So then, as always in these kinds of discussions, just because of the way my mind works, I go to like, well, how many people in there are doing that? Is it the CEOs? Is it the higher ups?
I don't know.
And if it is the higher ups, that means you have all of the peons and the lower downs that are like going along with it. And you think you would have some whistleblowers occasionally. You think you have somebody come out, but then I would say that somebody say, oh yeah, but then they just have them killed. Or whatever, you know, they get in a mysterious car accident or something, you know.
I honestly think a lot of it is just that's the way it is. It's the way it's always been. And
people just go along with it. But I mean, but put yourself in there. Let's say you work for the FDA. Knowing you, I don't think you would be able to sit on that. I don't think you would be okay. I don't think you just keep working there. I think you would do something about it. Yeah, but see, people
don't know. They think, oh, well, the FDA says these things are safe for us.
Okay, so you're thinking that the lower downs that information is being kept from them.
I guess, yeah, and people just don't know how to do their own research and like
or
don't care to because they're like, well, you know, my parents ate this stuff, I ate this stuff, it's fine for my kids to eat this stuff, I'm turned out fine.
But that's not true, right? Because the stuff that even we're eating today is not even the same stuff we were eating 20 years ago.
Worse. And
it might be the same food product, like I still eat macaroni and cheese from Kraft. Yeah, but I bet you the ingredients in that now is different than it was 20 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. And I think a part of it where they say, oh, well, I turned out fine. It's like, did you though?
Yeah.
How's that therapy? How's that therapy going for your anxiety disorder?
Right.
How's your chronic pain?
Yeah.
Like, how's your insomnia? How's that going? Do you turn out great? Not through any fault of their own. We eat what our parents feed us. We eat what we have been told is safe and okay for us to eat.
Right.
But I think so many of these issues, these health issues that we have and so many things, like people don't realize what it's doing. And so like, yes, if the FDA is like, oh, this amount of food dye is safe for you to consume. Okay, great, but that amount of food dye is in everything my child ate today. Is that still a safe amount for them to have in their body? You know, like you don't think about the impact of these things over time. And it's like they ate that every single day. Or if it's like, okay, so this amount is safe. Okay, but a serving size is like half of that thing of ice cream or a third of that thing of ice cream, but you ate the whole Ben & Jerry's in one sitting, so now you had 3 times the amount that they said was safe for you to have.
Hey, why'd you look at me when you said that? Why'd you look at me when you said that you ate the whole Ben & Jerry's in one sitting?
No,
I don't know anybody that would do that.
Like, people don't pay attention to these serving sizes, and like, I don't know, and like, again, like, I haven't done extensive research on a lot of this stuff, and like, yes, I get a lot of my information from social media.
Right.
But it's not just some random person who's like, oh yeah, this thing's bad for you. The end. The people that I follow do their research. They cite their studies.
Sure.
They have things presented. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I can't necessarily completely comprehend all of these studies. So I am, in a way, trusting these people to communicate to me what that study means.
Right, but don't you almost like, and probably we all do this, right? Like, let's say in this case, there's the FDA saying one thing, and then there's these, I don't know what you call them, people that are saying the opposite. They're saying, look, we've done these studies, and this is really bad for you, or whatever the scenario is. And we would tend, like, because then if the question's asked you, which one do you think is lying? It's easier to believe that the big corporation is lying because they have a motive. They want to make money.
Right.
They don't care about you as a person. But then you look at these other people like, no, they're worried about your health.
Yes.
They're telling you this because they want you to live longer.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I'd say. You always have to look at who is profiting, who is funding these studies. Because a lot of things you'll look and be like, oh, this study says that Cheerios are super healthy for you and great for you to eat all the time. Okay, who's funding that study? Oh, it's the people who are manufacturing the ingredients that Cheerios uses in their box. Of course they're going to publish a study where they skew the results to look like, it's great for you, go for it. Like,
No, Cheerios are good for your heart. I read it on the box. It says it's heart healthy.
Oh, yes.
That's why I eat those.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because my heart's healthy now.
Yeah.
And we feed those to babies, right? So, I mean, that's got to be good for them.
See, and that's, so these are things where it's like, well, my mom fed me Cheerios, so I'll feed my baby Cheerios.
It's funny, I was telling, because Mom just bought me a Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
And I haven't had Raisin Bran in a long time. I just started eating cereal for the first time in forever.
Yeah.
Probably since pre-Optavia, right? And I love cereal. And I love Raisin Bran. And she bought me some Raisin Bran the other day. I was talking to Aiden, or I was talking to somebody about how I still remember the day when Alora told me that, I want to say it was Fruit Loops. So I was talking about, that sugary cereal and something, and you said, like, there's more sugar in Raisin Bran than there's in Fruit Loops. I said, no, there's not. And then we looked at the box like, oh my gosh, she's right. Because you just automatically assume a cereal called Raisin Bran has got to be more healthy than one called Fruit Loops.
Yeah. So that's exactly it. So that's what I've learned recently in the last year or so, is I've learned a lot about how to read labels and to understand what's in my food, why is it in my food, what are the potential risks of me eating said food, and and again, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, oh, you shouldn't eat that, you shouldn't drink that, that's really bad for you. At least I try not to. Because people should be allowed to make their own decisions about what they're eating and drinking. I just think people should be educated.
Yes.
And be able to make a decision based on that. If you know all those ingredients, what they are, what they're doing, and you choose to eat or drink that anyway, that's on you. Like, go for it. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're just going to keep drinking that Starbucks. I drink Starbucks. Like, I'm not perfect. There's things that I know they're not good for me. I know the ingredients aren't great. Do it anyway. Yeah. Because I think it's about balance. That's what I've been learning too, because there's a lot of pressure in these like crunchy communities, these hippie like healthy communities where they're very judgy people. Right. About like, oh, you say you're crunchy, but you ate McDonald's fries yesterday. It's like, it's about balance. If you are living in constant fear about what's in your food and you're constantly denying yourself any kind of pleasure, any kind of whatever, like, that's not a great way to live. Like, you have to find whatever balance is right for you and like what. You know, so there's a new term, they call it scrunchy. It's like semi-crunchy. That's me. I'm like, I do.
So describe that to me.
So it's like, I have my grain-free avocado oil siete tortilla chips, but I'm still drinking this chai that's full of sugar and probably lots of other ingredients.
But you probably don't drink that very often.
No, exactly. And so I choose to do those less often. When I cook at home, I cook whole food healthy ingredients. I use olive oil instead of seed oils. Like, I do that at home. But when I go out, am I going to get Chick-fil-A sometimes? Yeah. Do they use seed oils in their food? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But they're a Christian company, so it makes it okay.
Right, exactly.
So why do you think it is that, well, actually, let me just ask you. So what did you say? The olive oil, flaxseed,
versus
something?
Seed oils, yeah.
What?
Seed oils?
Seed oils, okay. Yeah. So you're using your seed oils, whatever. Well, no, give me an example of something you eat, like an actual meal that you eat that you would deem as good for you.
Trying to think.
How about your little salad you ate yesterday? I saw you post a picture.
So my salad yesterday, I had cucumber, tomato, carrots with lemon juice, a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper. Okay.
So you're eating that, and you're probably thinking, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
But then let's say you're eating I don't know, give me an idea of your favorite food. Pizza, burgers, what do you just love? Teriyaki chicken?
Orange chicken.
Orange
Panda
chicken.
Express.
Okay. So then you got a bowl of orange chicken from Panda Express.
Yep.
And you're eating each one. Which one is better to you as far as flavor and enjoyment?
Well, the chicken tastes better.
Okay.
Because of the ingredients that's in it.
Sure. Yeah, then that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
That's my point. Why is it that the things that seem to taste the best are the worst for us and vice versa? That's why when people say things like kale is good for you, I believe them because kale tastes like crap.
You want to know why food that's so bad for you tastes so good?
Yeah.
MSG.
That's why?
Monosodium glutamate.
So
it tricks your brain into thinking your food tastes better than it actually does.
Really? Mm-hmm. But I eat a lot of places where they say no MSG.
Yes, Panda Express says no MSG on their thing. But it's the sugar, the amount of sugar that they put in those kinds of foods to make it taste good. But
yeah, but even sugar, why if sugar's so bad for you? I'm just being funny here, of course. Good. Why doesn't it taste good? It's almost like this. I always get like biblical with stuff, and I always get like real spiritual with things, and I'm like, it's just fascinating to me how that's the way it is. And we have this flesh, and the sin nature lives in the flesh, and the flesh seems to be everything bad.
Yeah.
Like everything bad that we desire, it's because our flesh desires that, right?
Yeah.
So I just put that right into food. It's the same thing. Why does ice cream and cheeseburgers taste so good all the time? Because my flesh is feeding on it. My spirit's not.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going as far as to say my spirit's feeding on kale.
Right.
Because I don't think that is either. But then, it makes you wonder, what are we going to be eating in heaven?
Yeah.
But of course, there's no health in heaven anyway.
Right. Yeah, but I think so a lot of those foods that taste really good but are bad for you is very manufactured. They're very, processed ingredients, and the chemicals and things that they put, natural flavors, artificial flavors, those are chemically made, human modified. Those are not the things God provided us with. Those are things that humans came up with to make our food taste better, to make you crave more,
or like
to make
bread. Right? They've been eating bread since Bible times. Jesus ate bread. Jesus was the bread of life. Okay? So, but every today it's all about, don't eat bread, don't eat bread, don't eat carbs, don't eat carbs. But I mean, I don't think it's the bread is the problem. I think it's all the crap they're putting in it. So why are they doing that? That's my question to you.
It's cheaper than whole food ingredients.
It's cheaper for them. Now, why is it cheaper for them? Isn't it
Cheaper
grown?
to
Don't
produce.
you just grow stuff the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exact details, but so things like corn are really cheap to grow and produce,
and
which is why they feed it to cows, and they no. And a lot of it is corn is a huge GMO crop and sprayed with lots of pesticides and all that stuff, and so corn is not that great for you. But yeah, it's things like that, and that's why things like vegetable oil is much cheaper to make than olive oil, which is why that's what's mass produced, and that's what they use in restaurants, and that's what they sell in stores, and what your ingredients in all your food. If you look, the majority of foods in your cupboard, I bet you have vegetable oil. What are the other ones? Rapeseed oil,
flaxseed oil,
sunflower oil.
Watermelon seed oil,
palm oil, canola oil, all those things are super inflammatory, and they upset your stomach, your digestive tract.
So what's a good oil to use?
Olive oil, avocado oil, butter, ghee, which I've never tried ghee. Yeah, butter.
Butter. Now, butter is something, as long as I can remember, they've said is not good for you.
Right.
But you're saying it's better for you than some of these oils.
Butter is a healthy fat, as long as you're not overeating, just like with anything. If you're just eating sticks of butter all the time, that's not great for you. But butter is a healthy fat. I better stop then.
I guess I'll stop.
And our body needs these healthy fats because a lot of the vitamins in our food are fat soluble. So if you have something that has all these vitamins and minerals in it, but then you're eating food, you have to have some fat in that food in order for your body to absorb the vitamins properly.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's probably just a package.
Okay.
But I mean, so it's interesting because it seems to change with the times, because I think things like canola oil and vegetable oil, all this was designed because it was supposed to be better for you than butter. They're we can't keep cooking all our food in butter. We're getting fat. We're having heart attacks. Our arteries are clogging. And now, 50 years later, they're like, no, butter is good. And stay away from canola oil and sunflower oil and all this stuff.
And so that's what's kind of scary about it. Not scary, but because there's so many trends and fads and dieting things, and things are all over the place. And yes, right now, this Whole Foods, natural whatever crunchy diet is becoming more popular right now, especially with social media. Like I said, TikTok, widespread of these ideas. So to me, like what I've decided for myself versus following a lot of these little like, oh, do this, no, do that, no, eat this, no, eat that, is like, what does the earth provide us with? What did God provide us with to nourish our bodies? Let's just try to stick to that as often as we can, you know?
Cows. He provided us with cows. And milk to make cheese, to put on the burger. He provided us with grains and sesame seeds to make the buns. Right? But eggs makes mayonnaise, right? Mayonnaise comes from eggs? Egg whites, right? Yeah. And then tomatoes make ketchup. And then you got the pickles. Where's vinegar come from?
I don't know. I was wondering that because vinegar is considered a natural ingredient. So I'm like, what is it though? Love to find out because I use vinegar.
You can't have pickles without vinegar.
Yeah, because I use vinegar to clean everything. And it's great disinfectant. But yeah, so like I like to just try to go back to the roots and have as much whole foods as you can. And like I said, not perfect. I eat processed foods sometimes. I treat myself to Starbucks like once a week maybe, or like whatever. But I think it's everything. But you usually get
lawn clippings from there, don't you?
Not always. I do like their matcha, but even the Starbucks matcha has a lot of sugar in it. So I'm like, I might as well get something better. Right now it's pumpkin spice lattes, even though I do know that those are also full of crap. I don't care. I don't care.
You mean they never tell the truth?
No.
I was like, full of crap means two different things.
And so there's big things that I try to avoid most of the time, like seed oils. I try to avoid the like inflammatory oils as often as I can, as much as I can. But like I said, like at home, sure, I cook with olive oil. I use lots of fruits and veggies and meats and like things in my cooking. But when I go out, I'm not going to be at a restaurant being like, what kind of oil do you cook these in? Okay, great. And are your is your beef grass fed? And like, I'm not going to do that.
So this is where you're talking about balance.
Right.
You're saying if you go too far to one side, then you become a crazy person.
Yes. And that doesn't mean everybody who decides to do that is crazy. For me personally, that would drive me crazy to be constantly worried about what's in my food. And also, I'm poor. It's expensive to buy these healthier options because they're not as cheap to make or to source.
So now, if we got to the point where the majority of people, let's say everybody wakes up tomorrow morning, 90% of the country, let's say, and they say, you know what, I'm done with all this hydrogenated oils and processed foods and all this, and I'm just going to eat healthy. Do you think that over time the prices would start to change to where that's organics, the stuff that's good for you wouldn't be as expensive?
I would like to think so, but again, I'm not like an economics person or a money person, so I don't know what has to happen.
Well, it's supply and demand, right? The reason why it has to be so high priced. Let's say you're an avocado oil company, but 90% of America is buying canola oil and vegetable oil, and only 10% is buying. So in order for you to make a profit, you have to sell it for a certain amount of money to supply the 10%. But if 90% was eating your oil, you could drop the prices drastically because now you're selling way more of it, right?
Exactly, which is why I feel like more people should know about this, should know the health risks versus the health benefits and like different things like that. Like I wish more people knew like kind of what's in their food and what is that doing. But yeah, so like avoiding oils, avoiding food dyes is a big one. I've really been trying to avoid food dyes lately. And as somebody who works with individuals on the spectrum, I'm not going to say food dye causes autism, but I think food dye is one of the culprits of behavior issues in children, for sure.
Really?
Yes. There are plenty of parents who've done these, like, again, these are not professional studies. These are parents who've done experiments with their children. The days when they give their children food with these artificial food dyes in it, they notice a drastic change in their child's behavior. And I have noticed this with my own clients. The days when they're drinking Gatorade with that red dye in it, behavior spikes.
So stay with the blue Gatorade is what you're saying.
Well, red 40 is the worst. Most people know that if you talk to anybody in the health world. Red 40 is like a bad word.
So does that mean there's 40 different reds?
I don't know. It has to do with how they make it.
Because if that's true, I'm like, okay, then just stick with all the other reds. Why would you continue using Red 40 if there's any kind of problem?
It has to do with how they make it, and I'm assuming it's probably cheaper to make. But there's other kinds. There's like Red 3 or something, and then there's like yellow something and blue something. I don't know.
Well, that's my point. If there's a Red 3 and there's a Red 40, there must be a 4, 5, 6, 7 all the way up to 39,
I have no
right?
idea. There's some that used to be allowed that are no longer allowed. That's one of those things that I am hopeful that in the next few years that food dyes will start becoming illegal in our country.
Well, if you think about it, it's really dumb anyway. I mean, do people really care what color their food is?
No, and see
that's like racism in the food world, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I care what my food tastes like.
Like, I understand that, yes, psychologically, our food is more appealing when it is bright and colorful, especially children. That's why children are, all these things with food dye are pushed at kids. Candy, cereal, like crackers, chips, all these things. Food dyes, and all of it. And I really think it impacts behavior and development, like, a lot. And, like, again, like, I don't know how it's going to be when I have kids. Like, obviously, I can't control everything they eat, everywhere they go. But
sure you can.
I plan on...
Don't let them outside.
plan on trying to avoid these things as much as possible. And it's just, like you said, it's unnecessary. Like, my mint ice cream does not need to be bright green.
No.
Like, I just don't... I don't know. And so I do appreciate, like, Kewan likes to make the strawberry milk from Nesquik, like the powder.
Oh, that's good.
And it doesn't have the best ingredients, but I was surprised there's no food dye in it. They use beets to make it pink.
Well, you just ruined my life with that statement. Ew. But not enough to make it taste like beets, because I've had that before.
Just enough so it has a slight
beets.
pink color.
Okay, so never mind. You didn't just ruin my life. You just revolutionized everything, because forever I've been wondering to myself, what is the purpose of beets?
It is color your strawberry milk.
It is definitely not to eat, because they taste like dirt no matter what you do.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, they taste like dirt. They're meant to be a food coloring other than Red 40.
Yeah.
There you go. God-given.
God
said, here you go. And
yes.
Okay, that's awesome.
There are a lot of natural ways. Blueberries. You can dye things with blueberries. Those have a big color.
Yeah,
I think
you eat them for long enough, your fingertips get dyed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of things. Like, I honestly think God has provided us with everything we need. Maybe not everything we want, but He has provided us with everything we need. The earth has provided us with things that we need to nourish our bodies, to heal our bodies. Like, that's the other thing, talking about, like, Big Pharma or whatever. They don't want you to know you can heal your body. Like, there are foods and remedies and things you can do that are going to heal your body without all the side effects of what they're giving you.
See, and I talk about conspiracy theories a lot, and I'm not trying to say that that's one of them.
Yeah.
But to me, that what you just said, and this is something Diana and I have talked about before, and other people, but to me, that's one of those things that I just don't see enough evidence. It's not that I don't think it could be true. I mean, because in theory, it makes total sense. Here's Big Pharma, like you were saying. Big Pharma makes money doing what? Selling drugs, okay? In order for them to sell those drugs, they need you to need those drugs.
Yep.
So they're going to do whatever they can to make it so that you need those drugs. And I agree with you. They probably don't care about us. They don't care about our health. They care about making money.
Yeah.
So, but again, I just keep going back to that. That just seems like such a grand thing. It's like the people that say that there actually has been a cure for cancer for the last 50 years, but Big Pharma's shutting them down, not letting them know, because if cancer's cured, look at all the cancer medication that's going to be thrown out the window because of this. And I'm like, I don't know if that's something that could be sat on, because there's got to be some good people in that company that's going to be like, oh my gosh, what I know could save millions of the lives of people in the world. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, and I don't think I would go that far, and I do think that is kind of extreme. That's what I say all the time. They don't want you to be healthy. They want you to be sick. Right. But, like, I don't know. I do think it's not common knowledge. Most people, like, I have a headache, get some Advil. That's just common knowledge. That's what you think. But it's like some peppermint oil on your temples.
Yeah, that doesn't work the same.
Yeah, but it doesn't have as many long-term effects. It's not slowly.
I'm sure it's better for you. But that's the thing, right? So I think once we get to the point, if ever, where these natural remedies actually work as good as the pharmaceutical remedies, I think a lot more people will do it. I would rather wrap peppermint oil on my temples than take ibuprofen.
Yeah.
But that's not it just doesn't help my headache.
Yeah, that's one that, like, honestly, if I have a worse enough headache, I'll still take an Advil if the peppermint oil is not helping, because that's one of those ones.
Oh, I take it now even if I feel myself starting to get a headache, because I don't want to get to the point where I feel like garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, but the one thing, part of my personal experience that I've had with natural remedies versus whatever, like, other ones, you know, I've had the worst immune system my entire life. I get sick all the time.
You're the worst. Yep.
Somebody who's sick looks at me, I'm sick. Like, I get it.
You've also been vaccinated more than all the other kids.
Yeah.
I've thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, to me, that's another conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
I was going to bring that up when you were talking about autism. And for a long time, a lot of people were saying, oh, vaccines cause autism.
I don't know where I stand on that, so I'm not going to.
I don't either, because I don't think I know enough to actually stand anymore.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that. Yeah. But, yeah, so I get sick all the time. All the time I get sick. I started using bee propolis, which is something that bees make to protect themselves from bacteria and whatever. And so you can buy it. I get it from Beekeepers Naturals from Target. It's in a little spray. Every day, put a couple sprays in the back of my throat. Tastes a little funny, but it kind of tastes like honey. It's sweet. That's it. I've been doing this every day for like a year. Haven't gotten sick in over a year. And I think I have gotten sick once, but I didn't even realize it because it was so mild.
So is it marketed that way? Is it supposed to be like
it's marketed as an immune supplement?
Okay.
Or a throat. They also make cough drops, like it's to soothe your throat also if you're like sick.
If you are sick, but it's also supposed to prevent you from getting sick?
Yes, it's supposed to help boost your immune system. It's not like this magic potion will keep you from getting sick ever. But it's supposed to help boost your immune system, which a lot of like haters will be like, that's not a thing. You can't boost your immune system. I'm pretty sure you can.
Why did that person have a British accent?
I don't know, because it's
those snooty British people.
I just feel like it's an ignorant thing to say. Not that British people are ignorant, but like, you know what I mean. It's just one of those things that people say, and I'm like, why would you think that? But anyways, so I think that has really helped me boost my immune system, and my body is way better equipped to fight off these infections. I work with kids. I'm around sniffly, coughing children every single day, and I used to get sick all the time because of that. Not anymore. When I do get sick, I usually think it's allergies, but this last time, like a month ago, a couple weeks ago maybe, I think I was sick, but it really did just feel like slightly bad allergies. Then Kewan was like, well, how do you know you're sick then? I was like, I don't know. I know, I feel it. Like, I feel like this is more than just allergies. But it was gone in a couple days. I didn't have to call out of work. I wasn't feeling like crap. Like, it was, and this is like a game changer for me, because my whole life, you know, times I call out of sick from things because I'm sick, and like I can't go to work, and I can't do this and that because I'm sick, and like, I don't know. So that's something where like I've seen in my own life how big of a change. And I just like noticed so many other things, from cutting out a lot of these processed foods, cutting out a lot of chemicals in my cleaners, in my like hygiene products, and like cutting out all of this junk. I've noticed like a huge change in how I feel. I have more energy. I've lost weight. I feel like I sleep better. My skin, my hair, like so many changes that I've just noticed from just changing my habits and changing the things I'm putting into my body and like using on my body. It has just made such a huge difference.
Yeah, and that I would fall on that side too, because even when I'm doing Optavia, I feel way better. But a lot of times I'm not as happy.
Yeah.
Because I want that cheeseburger, or I want that piece of pizza or something, right? But yeah, I think ultimately it's just kind of it's the balance.
Exactly.
In a sense, like you want, and that's what I wish. Why can't there just be a diet where you just eat whatever you want and you still stay healthy? Yeah. Why can't there be that? You know, of course there'll never be that, because like you were saying, I think all this food that we've created as humans is not what God intended for us to be eating. Yeah, our body is not able to you're fine. Process and like break down these foods the way that it's supposed to. Right, exactly. And do you, I guess my stance on all of that is, I think that the reason why we have all that process and stuff is because the big corporations are trying to make more money. Yeah. You know, it's I used to say this when I was a vegetarian all the time, but you got the cows, you know, and people started having a cow so they could get milk. Old days, the bartering system, maybe Farmer John would give 6 bottles of milk to
Billy whatever over here, and Billy would give him a bunch of eggs from his chickens, and you would, so within a small community, I think that works. But then as soon as Farmer John says, now wait a minute, if I could somehow get these cows to produce milk at 20 times the amount, I could sell this to the whole world.
Yeah.
And then grocery stores start coming in the picture. Wait, I could have this shipped all across the country, and my brand could be in all these markets. Now I'm a millionaire, billionaire, right?
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! Yes, but at what cost?
Right.
What are you doing? Are you shooting all those cows up with hormones and all this stuff so that they're produced? It's not good for the cows. It's not good for the people that are drinking it, But it's good for Farmer John because now he's living in a big house up on the hill somewhere, watching all the little peons down there. He's probably not even drinking his own milk.
Yeah.
Because he knows better. He's got all the money, so he's buying organic milk.
Yeah, raw milk.
Right, exactly, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it's just... But then all of us get stuck in this whole thing where we're like, yeah, but I can't afford to do that. Exactly. So what do I have to do? I have to go down and buy milk.
Yep.
And now I'm stuck, all because it's hard to get milk that's not, unless you raise a big enough stink, because then quite a few years ago, there was all that stink was RBST or whatever that was. And then for a long time, all the milk carton says made without RSBT or whatever hormone. I'm sure I get all the letters wrong.
RBST.
Something like that, yeah. And it was a big deal. Why? Because so many people made a stink about it. So then the companies are like, oh, well, we got to make sure. It's same with MSGs.
Yep.
For a while, nobody even knew what MSGs were. Yep. And then people started making a stink. Oh, these are bad for you. So then you started seeing them in all the restaurants, all the big sign, no MSGs. And oh, good, thank God. No MSGs at this place. I'm going to start eating here,
Yeah.
So, but I haven't seen that as much anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's just because as a whole everybody stopped using MSGs or that they just figured, well, people aren't really talking about this anymore, so let's go ahead and start doing it.
That, and it doesn't usually say MSG on the ingredients. It says monosodium glutamate. And not a lot of people know that is MSG.
Right.
I didn't know that until like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's in Cool Ranch Doritos, in case anyone was wondering. I was very sad to find that out. Not that I thought those were good for you in any way, but...
First the Beets, now the Cool Ranch Doritos. Man.
Yeah.
All right, well, before we jump into spirituality stuff, I wanted to go back to something you said in the beginning about choices and you not wanting to be the cause of... I forgot exactly how you worded it, but you reminded me of that age-old thing about the train track.
Oh, yeah.
Right, you got the train coming down, and let's say it's in line to kill...
Not the trolley problem or...
Yeah,
something.
I forgot exactly what it's called, but there's a train coming down the track, and there's two tracks, and there's a point where there's a switch that's going to split the track, right?
Yeah.
So it's currently heading towards, let's say, 20 people. And then the split track would go over, and it's heading towards 5 people. And you are the only one that has control of the track, of the switch. What do?
Jump off the train and let it switch on its own. That way it's not my fault.
Well, that's what I was going to say if you answer that way, because a friend of mine told me that thing, and he was saying that his response is different than anyone else's. I mean, the obvious response is, well, it's better. I mean, if people have to die, it's better 5 than 20, right? But his whole thing was, if I don't touch the switch at all, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
It just happens naturally. Yes, 20 people died over here instead of 5. But if I pull the switch, I'm responsible for those 5 people's death.
Yep.
To where before...
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes, right? But then my argument to that is, but in a sense, you kind of are responsible because your lack of doing what you could do. It's like if you're walking past a lake and someone's drowning out there and you know how to swim, right? You could save their life. You didn't throw them in the water. It's not your fault they're in there. It's not your fault they don't know how to swim. But if you just keep walking, they're dead because you didn't do what you could have done to save them.
Yeah, but in that case, though, it's like people are going to be mad at you no matter what. There is no good option. So either families of these people can say, you chose to kill my child, my mom, my friend, whatever. Right. Or the people on the other side, if you go the other way, oh, you chose to do this. But if you were like, I am not choosing anything, it's unfortunate that happened. And you're still responsible, but it's not like you chose and like...
Yes, but what I'm saying is, in a sense, you chose not to save a certain group of people.
Yeah, but I
That
feel
was
like
also
that's
a
different
choice.
than the drowning thing.
Okay.
Because in the drowning thing, they don't have to die. You can save them, and nobody has to die.
Right.
In this case, somebody's got to die.
True.
So
That's
why would
true.
you want to be responsible either way, whether you choose, like, I don't know.
So let's
you can
change
either
the scenario.
choose
So there's
for
two
people-
people drowning. You can only save one of them. Yeah, you just keep walking. That's kind of the equivalent of the train thing.
Right. So that would be different, where,
Right.
like, obviously you would want to save one of them.
Yeah, it's a different question to say, are you going to save any of them versus which one are you going to save?
Right. Exactly.
And we've talked before different scenarios about like if it's somebody you know versus somebody you don't know, or if it's your child versus your nephew, or what, like even putting two people you love. Oh, I love my nephew and I love my son. But if I had to choose between the two, I'm probably going to go for my son, right? Because I love him more. It's just the honest truth about it, you know. You wish you could save them both, but if the scenario says you can only save one, you're going for your own kid. It's just the way it is, you know. But so anyway, all right. We'll jump into spiritual stuff. Unless you need another break, or are you good?
No, I'm good for now.
Good to go. All right, let's roll. So, how long have you been an atheist?
Yeah.
No, I want to hear. I know a lot of the story anyway, but just kind of walk me through, because, as we've already said, you were very young when me and Mom became Christians. You were probably 3 years old, I think, 2.5, 3, something like that. So, kind of walk me through that.
Church has always been part of my life. I grew up in a family. We went to church every Sunday. You know, I had obviously parents who had a relationship with God, and like for as long as I can remember, anyway. And that's just always been part of it. So I've always known about God. I've known the Bible stories. I've known that, you know, I have to have Jesus in my heart to go to heaven. Like, even from a young age, I knew that. That was something that had been taught to me in Sunday school. And I'm sure, I don't have any specific memories of this, but I'm sure I said the prayer, you know, Christians know the prayer.
Did you when you were younger? You remember that? Okay.
I'm sure I did. In Awanas or VBS or something.
Right.
Because they say these things like, oh, you know, do you want to go to heaven? Like, you know, little kid, of course I want to go to heaven. Okay, say these words.
Yeah, especially when hell is the alternative, and they describe that.
And I was scared.
Which one do you want to go to?
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Not that the church was like, I don't feel like we went to a church that was like trying to scare us and make us afraid of hell. Like, there's some churches like that. I don't think our church growing up was like that at all.
Right.
I don't feel that way. But I think just for me personally, that idea of hell scared me, and I didn't want that. So I had said the prayer. I said it again just to be sure. You know, a couple years later, said it again just to be sure, probably. And like, I don't know. I grew up memorizing Bible verses. I was very proud of how much I knew about the Bible, that I could tell you all the books of the Bible and I could list them all. And like, these things made me feel good about myself. Made me feel like a good person. And like, I feel like I was always a good kid generally. Like, I wanted to help people, and I wanted to, like, I don't know. I've always volunteered to pray in kids' church. But all of that, looking back, that was all me. That was like, oh, I get to stand up here in front of everybody and pray and show them that I know how to pray in front of church. It was a thing for me.
Yeah,
and like, it was very much like me focused, even if I didn't wouldn't admit that at the time or like see that. But yeah, so that was like probably all growing up. I remember being in probably junior high and reading the Left Behind kids books.
Oh yeah.
And being scared of the tribulation and of the rapture happening, and then all these horrible things happening, and I would be left behind and have to deal with these. So I cried and I prayed the prayer again for probably the 5th time in my life.
Right.
I don't think I got saved then either.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you when I got saved. I don't know.
Yeah.
Come high school is probably when something started to change in my heart. I can know that much for sure. It started to be a shift from me to God, and I started to think about, what does God want me to do with my life? Like, how can I glorify God with my life? I went on a missions trip. Missions trip, is like quotations.
Vacation.
Yeah, but still, that was my first like leaving home experience. I feel like, because I'd never been to camp, I'd never been to anything at this point. So that was my first time being away from my home, being in this community, seeing this like broken, hurting community.
Where was this at? Was that Yakima?
Yes, Yakima Reservation in Washington State.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there was also other churches there that had come from different places in the state or the country or whatever. And so I met other kids from other churches and heard kind of some of their stories. And so like, that was just kind of the beginning for me of kind of starting to to kind of see the world outside of my hometown church and my family. I guess, if that makes sense.
Right, like the time you got to see basically something outside your parents and their religious life.
Right.
To see outside the walls.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, that's one thing. You grow up, and this is normal, and I don't think this is a bad thing. You grow up in a church. You grow up with the beliefs from that church. You grow up with your parents that teach you their beliefs and their, like, opinions on things, and that's what you know, and that's what you grow up believing, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
But then comes a point when you're starting to get older where you kind of got to figure out, like, okay, so this is what my church believes. This is what my parents believe. Do I believe that too? Do I believe something else? Do I believe like a little bit of both?
Right.
And you got to kind of figure that out for yourself. And so,
Yep.
yeah, so that trip was like the start of that. And then winter camp was the first time I ever went to camp, like church camp away from home. I went twice as a student and once as a leader to this camp, Heartland Christian Camp. Yeah, and so that's what I remember as being one of the first moments where I really put my faith in God as in this is exactly when I got saved. I don't know. But when there was really a shift from this is my path of where I'm going, come with me, God, to like, okay, God, where's your path? Show me and I will follow you. Versus like, I'm going to go this way. Hope you're still with me, God. Great, thanks. Like,
right.
You know, like there was a real shift in that because I remember at that time we were talking about moving to Washington.
Oh, yeah.
This was probably 10th grade.
Right.
And I did not want to go.
Yeah.
I had a boy that I liked here.
Yeah.
And we were going to be together forever and it was going to be great.
Yeah. How'd that turn out for you?
Not great. Yeah. But at the time, that was my everything. That was my whole world. I did not want to go. Absolutely not. My friends are here. My crush is here. Like, my life is here. You cannot make me go. And then I went to this camp, and this is like the most cliche Christian thing ever. I played Oceans during worship.
Oceans
from Hillsong.
Oh, okay.
And that song, I'd heard it before. This wasn't even the first time I heard it. Hit me different. That Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders. And that became my motto, my anthem, that was my whatever mantra, whatever you want to call it.
And this is camp in Yakima?
No, this is Heartland.
Heartland. Which was where?
Winter camp.
Iron something?
No, not Ironwood. It's just called Heartland Christian Camp. I forget where.
How old are you at this point, I guess?
10th grade.
10th grade, okay.
Yeah, 10th grade, I think. So probably like 14, 15.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the first time when that was really a change. And I've even looked back because I journal. And I have my journals from this far back. And I've looked somewhat recently at these journals, and I can even see the shift in myself and in the way I'm writing in my journals. Because a lot of times the way I journal is not like, Dear Diary. It's like, Dear God. And my journals are like prayers to God. And so I'm able to see this kind of shift in myself. And I start questioning the people that I'm friends with. I start questioning boy I have a crush on. I start questioning and I'm like, are these the kind of people I want to be around? Are these the kind of people I want to be like? Are these the kind of things that I want influencing my life? And I could start to see the struggle with things. I'm starting to get convicted about things. I'm starting to desire to live my life a different way. So that's why I always tell people, I don't know when I was indwelt by the Holy Spirit saved. I don't know.
Right.
Couldn't tell you.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know for myself either.
Right. And I don't think you need to know. I don't think there needs to be some one day the Spirit just came down.
Right.
Some people that happens that way, and that's great.
I sprouted wings and I just floated above the thing and I started singing the Hallelujah chorus. And,
yeah, but I always said that. I'm like, I don't have a cool testimony. It's so boring, Christian girl grew up in church. But I mean, that was for sure the first shift, the first change to where my life started going down a different path.
To me, I almost think that's a better testimony because I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think there's a lot of people that grow up in the church and never have what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And they might not even be saved. They might go the rest of their life and they're just banking on the fact that they believe in God, they go to church, they read their Bible sometimes. It's all religious. So I mean, I think this is a dumb way to talk, but I mean, it's almost easier for someone, let's say, who's a heroin addicted prostitute or something, to have an epiphany and have the Lord reach out to them and they receive Christ and their whole life is changed, right?
It's a dramatic life.
It's dramatic and it's obvious. But what if you grow up in the church and you just believe what? Like, what do you believe and why?
Yeah.
Are you ever questioned with that? Do you ever even care to think, well, how do I know my parents are right? How do I know the pastor's telling me the truth? How do I know the Bible's real?
Yeah.
I think that every person has to come to that point, really.
Right.
Especially those that grow up in the church.
Yeah. And I think everybody needs that. And I think there needs to be that push. And so for me, like, that was the start of it. But then I think the next, like, big chapter or whatever in my testimony, in my story, in my walk with God will be Biola. I think going to a Christian college, leaving home, going to a Christian college full of other professing believers from vastly different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like, I met so many people, and there was just so much. I learned so much through that experience, and I think that's exactly what I needed, was that, like, I really got a chance, and I'm so grateful that I had this chance, because obviously, like, Biola's expensive. Like, I know not everybody can afford to go to Christian college. I can't afford to go to Christian college. It's by the grace of God that I did.
Yeah, we sold our fifth kid so you could go.
Exactly. But yeah, and so I think that was a huge change too, because that was when I really got to see. I went to different churches during that time. I kind of branched out. I went to a couple mega churches during that time. I went to a Hillsong church. Didn't like it.
No.
It was an interesting experience. We left. Me and
in
my
the
friend.
middle? Oh, wow.
We didn't even stay. We didn't like it. It felt wrong.
Like, did you at least get to the sermon, or did you just...
If you can even call it a sermon. I don't even know what it was. He was just talking at us, and, like, I didn't even know what he was talking about. And it didn't make any sense. And, like, it was uncomfortable. And we both felt it. I went with one of my friends from Biola, and we were both like...
Right.
You ready to go? Yeah, I think so. And, like, I don't know. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And then we went to Harvest.
Greg Laurie.
With Greg Laurie.
Yeah.
We went there twice because we liked the message.
Was it him preaching or someone else?
Yeah, but he was far away on telehealth. You know what I mean? On
Telehealth.
Zoom or whatever.
Far away?
He was at another campus because there's a bunch of campuses.
Oh, so what? Everybody just met in the sanctuary and they put him on a screen? Yep. Interesting.
Yeah, it was weird. And then the second time he was there and he was having a book signing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you get a book sign?
No.
Oh.
It just, there's some churches, you talk about church feeling like a business, feeling like a...
Yeah.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean you can't grow in that church. It just was not for me.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I currently am at what would probably be considered a mega church. I go to a very large church.
I think so. I went there. I was like, whoa.
Yes, but it doesn't feel like a mega church. That's what I always say about it. So, like, it's a huge church, huge congregation, big old building. We do lots of things that are very mega churchy.
But you said the teaching is pretty solid.
But the teachings are solid. They are not afraid to say things against the culture.
Right.
They are not afraid to say things that might upset some people from the pulpit. And I feel like even though it's a giant church, they make such an effort for people to feel seen and known and loved and cared for, which I love.
Yeah.
And they make such an effort to, like, yes, our church brings in a lot of money. If you look at their financials, a lot of money our church brings in. A lot of rich people.
Right.
And they tithe a whole lot of money. But you look at where that money goes, a lot of really great things that our church does. For the community, they've been recognized by, like, not like our church specifically, but like one of the organizations that they do is called the Youth Centers of Orange. Okay. So it's like an after-school program for kids. Started in a community that was
do they come to the church, or did the church outreach go to them?
The church went to them. They started this. Somebody from our church, I think, started this.
Outside the church building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they started going to this community, started this little after-school program in the street. They would just, like, do this in the middle of the street with the kids because they had no building to meet in. And then, eventually, like, they had the funding. They were able to get a building, and it became this thing. And so there's a thrift store in at the Orange Circle. It's called Full Circle. You've been there with me before.
I have? To which place? I've been in the Orange Circle.
Yes.
Have I been to this place you're talking about? Okay.
We went there. It's called Full Circle. It's a thrift shop.
Oh, the huge one?
No, that was an antique store.
That was an antique store?
Yeah.
The one where you just keep walking and it seems like every window is the same store?
Yeah.
Okay. Which thrift store? Which one was it?
It was small. It's where I found that Twilight book. Remember the last Twilight book I did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's right. Okay.
So that store. So that's one of them. And so this, all the proceeds from that thrift store support the Youth Centers of Orange.
Okay.
And so the Orange community as a whole saw what the church was doing through this outreach, and like the city is like in full support of this like outreach that the church is doing, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. So usually for me, like it's unusual to find something you would even possibly classify as a mega church that teaches the truth. Yeah. Only because I don't think there's that many people that are interested in the truth, right? So you see a lot of these big, it's just full of, like someone like Joel Osteen, who's like got 4 services on Sunday and like 8 million people attend, plus all the Zoom people and everything else. Like, but then you listen to what he's talking about. It's like, dude, have you ever read a Bible before? And you think, like, I don't think he has. Yeah. But then my question is like, why do so many people want that, right? But anyway, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is, it's very rare to find a huge congregation like yours, where the teaching is solid, and like you said, they are bringing in money, because there's so many people. I mean, if you have Christians that believe in giving, in theory, the more Christians you have going to that church means the more money that's going to be coming in, right? Yeah. So you got to do something with the money. So you can either make the pastor's pockets fat and he can drive up in his Lamborghini, or you can do outreach and you can do things like that,
So I think they do, and I think the reason to like what you're saying of like, how is the church so big still? I think like, yes, they preach the truth, and yes, I think people get offended. Plenty of the pastors have talked about how they get angry emails from people like, I can't believe you said this and blah blah, and we're never coming back, and they're like, right, sad to see you go, but we stand by what we said.
I actually didn't say it, I just read what Jesus said.
Right. Yeah. And so I think
your beef is with him, not me.
Yeah, but I think like there's just, I see the love of Christ in that church. Yeah. In the people that we've met, and our our life group has been a huge like impact for us. Like our Bible study group with other married couples has been amazing. Yeah. We've met amazing people. I think there's just so much love, and it feels so genuine from these people that work in this church. And like I work in the children's ministry, and like the community of people that work in this children's ministry is just so much love and care for these kids and these families, and like it's amazing. And I think that's exactly what the church is supposed to look like. And so yes, it's in practice and like in size, it's far from the early church meeting in homes secretly or whatever it was, like, but in like the ideas and the values that they uphold in the early church, I think we find those in our church that we go to. So anyways, I kind of got on a tangent talking about that.
You're talking about Biola, because it's a Biola church.
Well, no.
Isn't it?
No. They have connections to Biola, but
like big connections.
Yeah, I mean,
like what's his name? He attends church there, right? The guy that's one of the
I think
heads of the apologetics.
There's a few Biola professors that go to church. I forgot
his name. He's going to be at the conference.
Yeah.
Again, he was at the last one too, but I forgot his name now.
Yeah, I don't remember. My memory's so bad. But anyways, and a lot of Biola people go to this church. That's how we found it, because one of my friends from Biola was going to this church, and she's like, oh, you guys should come. So we checked it out, and so there are like connections to Biola, like the church, but the church itself is not like specifically Biola affiliated.
Okay. So, but you were talking about Biola and going there and what the impact that was on your life.
And so I got to hear a lot of stories from teachers, from students, from like just faculty in general, of just such different things than I had heard before. And I was really challenged to think critically about what I believe and why I believe those things. And like, it was a chance for me to really explore that on my own. And the cool thing was like, this was school. Like my classes were like, okay, like now think about your relationship with God and write a paper about it. Like, and so I got to do these things for school and like do these classes where we're studying the Bible. And like, I had some professors that I disagreed with and kind of butted heads with a little bit, but then I had other professors that I loved, and I thought they shared some really cool things that really like helped to open my eyes. And so so super transformational. Like I think that's for sure God wanted me there. And that's kind of part of my story. I didn't want to go to Biola.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said no. Like I had applied. I was like, yeah, I guess. And then we went and visited Biola, and I was angry and bitter, and I was like, I don't want to like this. Why are these people so nice? Why do they want me here so badly?
Now, why was that? Do you know why that was?
I don't know.
I remember. Do you remember
Spiritual
this?
warfare?
Do you remember me taking you aside and getting mad at you?
Yeah, you're like, why are you so like...
Well, and I told you, I said, look, we're not saying you have to go here.
Just give it a chance.
But we are here. We drove 3 hours to be here today for this, whatever, orientation or whatever the day was where you got to see some stuff. I said, just go at it with an open mind. We're here. We're not leaving. We're here.
Yeah.
If you come away with it today, you say, Mom and Dad, I don't want to go there. I don't think so. Fine. But don't go into it with the attitude of already, I'm not going to like this.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
Yeah, and I really honestly don't know why. And I'm like, spiritual warfare?
Yeah.
Like, something was going on. It was out of character for me to be acting that way. Like, I don't know. It was weird that I was like so just like put off by all these friendly Christian people. And I myself being a friendly Christian person, I was like, what is up with these people?
They were too friendly.
Right. And I was like, this can't be real. Everybody's so fake. And I still have some opinions about certain groups at Biola.
Sure. You're going to find fake people everywhere.
Yeah. Even
Always.
some of like the campus groups there, student orientation services, I have some beef with them.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point.
I love Biola.
Yes.
I want to live at Biola.
It's just, and again, don't have anything to compare to. The only other college I've been to is community college in a semi-small town. But it's just, it's unreal. Like, it feels like you're in another world, like, being on campus. And it feels so safe and so welcoming. And, like, I've never experienced community like that before. It's crazy. But yeah, so I think that was another huge part of, like, that. So
you had the trip in when you're 14, 15, where you felt like there was a shift, and you feel like the whole thing with Biola was just solidifying that more and more.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you grew a lot from going to Biola.
For sure. I really got a chance to, like, examine myself and my faith and think critically about, like, even theologically. Like, okay, like, I know that I believe this. I know the Bible says it, but, like, why? Like, I wanted to look into things and I wanted to learn, like...
Do you feel like you've already in your life, like, critically examined those kind of things? Like to the point of, like, not necessarily saying I need to find reasons to prove this real, but actually saying maybe this is not right. Let's look at the attacks on it. Let's look at, have you done that yet? Have you gotten to that point? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think... and that's why things like the apologetics conference, like we went to at the church last year, like, of listening to, like, what are the arguments against Christianity and against the Bible being true. Like, I want to know what those are, and I want to know the response to that. And, like, I still do, like, I am still afraid of, like, getting into conversations with people. If they are, like, attacking my beliefs, I'm like, do I really feel confident that I would be able to defend what I believe in? Like, and I don't know if I feel like I'm quite there, but, like, I don't know. And I've definitely gone through doubts, for sure. Like, I've had those periods where I'm like, is this true? Like, how do we know that this is true? How do we know God's real? Did we just make this up?
So what did you come to with that? That's what I'm asking, like, because we all get there.
Yeah, I think there's certain things that just make sense. Like, there is no other way to describe it. And I think a lot of it, the biggest thing for me is, like, nature and the way that the world works and the way that our bodies work and the way our bodies are designed, especially, like, I think the female body and our hormones and the way that our bodies are designed to function. The more I'm learning about this through, my hippie healthy journey, is fascinating to me. And I heard some girl made a TikTok the other day, and she's not a Christian, but she was talking about the female cycle and, like, the crazy things that go on in our body and the way that
the menstrual cycle. Okay.
Yes. And so, like, how that kind of functions in her body. And she's like, and I know I'm going to make some people mad by saying that. She's like, but how can you look at that process and believe in something like evolution? She's like, how can you believe that just randomly happened or that just randomly developed for our bodies to work this way? And, like, she's like, I'm not saying that, like, whatever. She's like, I'm not a Christian, but she's like, but this just really made me think, and that's exactly how I feel. I look at how perfectly things are designed and how perfectly things function. And again, not perfectly, like, of course there's still sin in the world and things that, like, have caused the system not to function perfectly. But there's just so many things that I look at and I'm like, how can people look at that and not believe that there is a divine creator and a creator who cares about us? I know this is a question you talk about a lot. You're like, okay, do you believe in a creator? And then, okay, if you do you believe he cares about us? Because
those are two separate things, right? Yeah. And it's almost two different ways to investigate that. Because I'm like with you that what you're trying to talk about, what that girl was saying, is more like an intelligent design thing. It's like,
we have two options here. We have all the complexities on Earth, all the science, the studies, the people, the animals, the plants, all the stuff, right? And we either have something intelligent putting that into motion, or we have random chance putting that into motion.
Yeah.
And it's like, gotta be intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just gotta be. And there's really no other way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get to that point, okay, now who is this creator?
Right.
Now we're going everywhere.
Yeah.
Does he care about us? Does he love us? Did he just start us and walk away?
Yeah.
Is he like the Watcher in Marvel? You know, I can't interfere. You know,
and I
whatever.
think that's the one thing that, like, I don't feel that I have concrete proof to say that, like, yes, God loves and cares about us. Mm-hmm. I know he loves and cares about us. But I think the only way you can know that is if you've experienced
Correct.
it. If you've experienced that love and care. Because I can say, like, oh, yeah, look at these good things that have happened in my life, or the way God's provided for me. Somebody else could look at those same circumstances and be like, oh, that was good luck for me to get that job, or for me to, you know, meet this great person who I love.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like, no, God has put these things in my life for me. And so, like, I feel like the only way for you to know that, like, yes, God loves me and cares for me is to have experienced that love. Because there's nothing like it. We can compare it to, like, a parent-child relationship or, like, a husband-wife relationship, but it still does not encompass the full magnitude of God's love for us. Like, it just blows my mind every day.
Right.
Like,
can you remember?
amazing.
Can you remember a time where you first experienced that?
I don't know. I think the biggest way that I feel like I've experienced that is just peace in my life, because I'm somebody, you know, I struggle with anxiety and I'm stressed about everything, and I need things to go a certain way, and I'm always worried about, well, this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. Like,
I have no idea where you get that from.
But I do, so this is just every day for me is crazy, but there's just this sense of peace that is inexplicable. And there's been times in my life when I feel so overwhelmed and there's just something that comes over me and it's inexplicable, and I feel like there's times where God has just put certain things on my heart, and I'm like, there's no way that had to have come from God. Like, there was a time I was driving down the freeway, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this wave of sorrow, just like sorrow, hits me, and I go, oh my gosh, like, this feels so heavy. Like, why is my heart
just out of nowhere?
I look up, I'm driving past a Planned Parenthood.
Oh, no way.
And so as I'm driving, I'm like getting emotional talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm praying for all the women in that clinic.
Right.
For the children that died in that clinic. For the employees working in that clinic. I'm praying for these people. And I'm like, I didn't know that was there. Yeah. I was just driving and I felt it.
Right.
I felt it. It was crazy. That's like one of those things in my life that I'm like,
I've never heard that
wild.
story before. You've never told me that. Wow.
Yeah. And this was like 2 years ago, maybe not too long ago, but yeah, so there's just certain things that I feel like every once in a while, like I feel God move in those ways, and I'm like, there's no other way to explain that.
Right.
Like, how else do you explain that? I don't know.
But then the question comes in, like, you know, I mean, we can use any topic, but let's use that one since you brought it up. It's like, why can so many people drive by there and not feel that way? Not only that, why can people work there, be performing these things, and seemingly have this clean conscience about it? Like, they'll defend their job, they'll defend what they're doing.
Yeah.
So why doesn't he just do that to them? Why doesn't he make them just wake up one day and be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know, those are the kind of questions that
sometimes
like,
he does.
Sometimes.
There's been those stories. I watched that movie. It's called Unplanned.
I still haven't seen it.
It is one of the most emotional, heart-wrenching movies I've ever seen in my life. I had to leave the theater several times because I was just overcome with emotion, and I was so upset by this movie. Really upset me. And I know that this is controversial, but this is something that I am comfortable talking about because I do feel strongly about my beliefs on this. Like, but I think even with all of that, I do not feel any kind of hatred towards the people working in those clinics. I feel sorrow for them, and I feel like compassion, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, I want them to realize what they're doing and how they're impacting people, and like, but I'm not like, oh, I hate them, I hope they die. Like, of course not. Like, I think that everybody deserves a chance to be able to repent, and like, and a lot of times people think they're doing a good thing. Right. They don't realize what they think they're helping these women, these girls that come into these clinics, and like, I don't know. And like, and I would never ever, I feel nothing but love and compassion towards the women that go to those clinics.
Sure.
for abortions, because again, I know Planned Parenthood is not only abortion. I know they do other health services as well.
Right.
But I would never ever judge somebody for going in there, for making that choice, even if they knew exactly what they were doing. Like, I believe there's redemption and there's love, and like.
Do you think the vast majority of people that do go in there don't really know what's like they've bought into the fact, and words are used like fetus, like pregnancy, I'm terminating a pregnancy,
especially these young girls. I think they don't know. They don't know, they don't understand.
They're scared,
they think they have no choice,
right?
And that's part of it too, of why I'm so passionate about this. It's not just, okay, don't get an abortion, okay, bye. No, like, help these people. There is emotional needs there are physical needs, there are spiritual needs for these women. So I love these, like, pregnancy centers and these things that help women. They say, like, we will help you if you are looking into adoption. We will help you through that process. If you need medical attention, we will help you through that process. If you need supplies, we will help provide that for you. Like, I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, yes, most of the Christian community, and especially the Catholic community, is very pro-life, and they support or don't support, like, abortions and things, and they don't think that is right. But what else are you doing? Like, there's another step after that. And I think some people are really great about continuing to help after that, but like, I think there needs to be more of that. And I think there needs to be more care for women who chose to have an abortion anyway.
Yes, for
sure. There should not be any kind of like, oh, well, you chose it, too bad for you. It's like, no, like, we want to help you.
Deserve it. Wallow in your misery, or whatever. But I mean, that's why there's like the crisis pregnancy centers, right, that are kind of doing the opposite work. And I think something that, because I know people that work there, and some of the stories I've heard and stuff, and I think that those 3D ultrasounds has been one of the biggest things ever, because if you have these scared, confused young girls who don't know what to do. I got pregnant, I'm not even with the guy anymore, I live with my parents still, I'm young, I don't have a job. I mean, there's all these reasons that they can think of. I really shouldn't be having this baby, and if they go somewhere like Planned Parenthood, they're going to be encouraged in that direction. And I'm with you. I'm not saying that every person that works over there is some satanic devil who's just like, no, there's no other options for you, let's kill your baby. No, I don't think it's that true at all. But I think with places like the crisis pregnancy pregnancy centers, is they'll talk to you about that kind of stuff, and they'll offer you other options. I don't think they're going to sit there and say, don't get an abortion, because if you do, you're going to hell and you're a miserable, wretched person. But they might say something like, well, let's give you a checkup, let's talk, let's do an ultrasound, and there might be motive there, but it's good motive. Because I think that for a lot of these girls, they see that picture, they hear that heartbeat, and they see, oh my gosh, I thought I was just terminating a pregnancy, but that sure does look like a baby in there. Because they're lied to. Well, it's not a baby, it's a fetus. It's a clump of cells. It's this, it's that. No, it's a baby. It is a baby.
And that's what I think is so funny. And this is like kind of off topic, but like,
there's no off topic. Everything's on topic.
Talking about that, so I was like, so we call it, so when a woman who got pregnant on purpose, let's say, with her husband, goes to the doctor to have her first ultrasound, she's 8 weeks pregnant. And they say, oh, look, there's your baby. Same, another woman doesn't want to have this baby, also 8 weeks, goes in, that's not a baby, it's a fetus. Why?
Because one wants it and one doesn't.
And I do not think that should decide.
It's the same thing as when, in fact, this just happened with the girl that was stealing from the store, got chased by the cops or whatever, and she was pregnant, and she ended up getting shot, and they talk about the baby died, and they call it a double homicide. Yet, these same people, when a woman gets an abortion, that's not a murder. That's not a death. It's just a termination. Who are we to decide based on what we want? Correct. Who are we to decide what is life and what is not? And I've had women tell me that when I'll ask, like, well, what is the difference? And they'll say, well, because one of those babies was wanted, one of those pregnancies was wanted, the other was not. So that's what determines life. All of a sudden, whatever's growing inside you, as soon as you say, I want that, boom, it's a life. It becomes a life. All of a sudden. What?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
That's one of those things. There's so many issues, controversial things that I don't like to talk about because I'm like, I don't know. I can see both sides. I'm kind of in the middle. But that is one thing that I just, I can't understand.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. And it
well,
makes
you look
me
at,
sad and,
you know, your own story.
Yes.
Me and Mom had pretty much every reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was she 17?
Yeah.
I was 19 when we found out that we were pregnant with you.
Yep.
We didn't know what we were doing. I was still living with my mom. She was still living with her parents. I mean, if we had all the good reasons to say we are not ready to be parents.
Yeah.
And I look back on this to this day, and I don't know what in the world. Like, we weren't Christians, but for whatever reason, as long as I can remember, have always been against abortion.
Yeah.
As has she.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
Yep.
It's not like we had any God reasons for it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, because God says murder's wrong. That's why. No, it was just because whatever. And it was hard. It was like, oh my, I mean, our lives changed. Like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, and then everything changed after that.
Yeah, and that's part of why I think I'm so passionate about this because I'm like, that could have been me. Like, my parents were not ready for a baby.
Right.
But they chose to allow me to live and to, you know, give me the life that I have and like I don't know. And so I think that's part of why like I'm passionate too about like just teen parents in general. Like while I was in college, I was an intern at a organization, a nonprofit that worked with teen parents. Both.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Fristers.
Oh, right. I remember that name now. Yeah.
So they help with pregnant teens. They help after the kids are born, like people who were teen parents, like even if they're adults now, like they still can access these resources and like they provide diapers, they provide food, they provide education classes, they help the parents apply for college, they help them finish high school. And like everything is a really cool organization. I think that's part of why when I was looking for somewhere to intern, I was like, that's the one. I for sure want to be a part of that. Because I think that's so cool that they have organizations like that. Like, and I think that's so important because it does not end with, great, you chose not to have an abortion. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have fun.
Right.
Figuring out what to do now. Like, you know, like I think there needs to be so much support and so much love and care after the fact. And so.
Yeah. And one of the criticisms that's given to the pro-life community a lot of times, like, well, what are we going to do with all these babies? Are you going to take care of these babies? I
will.
Right. And that's why I like people
like all the babies.
Like Jeff Durbin. I think I've shown you Jeff Durbin before. Like he's got a lot of different ministries. Like he's the one who'll sit outside the Mormon temples and he'll have conversations with them about that. But he also, and others in his group, will stand outside Planned Parenthoods and we'll talk to women that are going in there.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of those.
Yeah, and it's amazing because he's not angry, he's not yelling, he's not ridiculing these women, he's not putting them down for what they're going in there for, but he talks about, he's got pictures and he said, oh, this is little so and so, his mom was going to go in there and do this and we talked her out of it, and now she's so happy that she has him. And I've seen people throw stuff at him and say, well, that's her and screw you, and you know, don't try to guilt trip me into this and that and all this stuff. It's like, so I mean, he puts himself right out there, you know, but but one of the things, that's what I was getting at, is one of the things that he does is he said, no, I will take your baby. I will adopt your baby.
Yeah.
If the options are you kill your baby or I get to adopt it, I will adopt it every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And if my house is full of kids and I have no more room, then I'll find a friend who'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
We will not run out of space.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like I want all the children in the world who need love, because I've also worked with foster kids before. And that was another heartbreaking experience in my life, working in a camp for kids who are either in or have been in foster care.
Right.
And just hearing some of those stories these kids had and seeing the ways that trauma has impacted them and all these things, like, was really impactful for me and just broke my heart that someone so small, I'm getting emotional again, could carry so much pain and so much sorrow and just so much hurt that, like, I don't know, it just, it breaks my heart. And I want to hug all of them. Like, I don't know, I just want to help all the kids. Like, I don't know, that's something I'm really passionate about as kids. Obviously, I spend all my life with kids. I work with kids. I volunteer with kids. Well,
you are one of the few people that I know in my own personal life that is in a profession that you love. Yeah. And that you are passionate about. I know. And you feel like you're making a difference. And I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. Most people can't say that. Yeah. Do you like your job? No. Why do you go? Well, we got to eat. Yeah. I got to have a place to live.
No, like I truly, and it's so funny because it's such a total fluke thing. I had no plans to work with people with special needs at all. It's not my plan. I was like, psychology, maybe I'll work in a preschool, maybe I'll something with kids, you know, early childhood development.
Right.
But then I was looking for jobs and I was like, ABA, what's that? Like, oh, they need behavior technicians for kids on the spectrum. Like, I might be able to do that while I look for something else. This was 3 years ago now, and here I am.
And you're still there.
Loving my job, no plans to leave. Like,
and what does ABA stand for again?
Applied Behavioral Analysis.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And prior to that, you were going to be a costume designer.
Yes,
right?
that was when I was in high school. That was my plan. I was going to go to fashion school and design costumes for movies, which would have been fun. And I still am interested in like costumes and movies and stuff. But I think that like God obviously had a plan for my life, and I feel like it is both my job and my ministry. I think the chance to get to love on these kids and these families, and like even in a small way be able to like impact them, to be able to pray for these kids and pray for their families, like I think that's so great. And I feel super blessed to have a job like that I love, and I love my kiddos. Like I call them, they're my kiddos, like these are my children. I love them. And I get so sad when I have to like leave a client or like whatever. It does make me really sad. But
that's what would be hard for me. It's just, you know, because one thing, I have my own kids, but you can't go anywhere. They're stuck with me forever, you know. But to have such a revolving, you know, and I know how many of you had total, like since you started? I
don't know, maybe like 10.
Okay.
But a lot of them I've had for a long time. My clients right now I've had for about a year each. I have 2 clients for ABA.
Yeah.
My babysitting client, I've been with him for 2 years now, which is crazy. So I get to watch these kids grow up and like see their progress and see how much they change and like get to know their families. It's amazing.
And it's not per se a Christian thing.
Nope.
But do you ever find yourself in those kinds of discussions, or you do? Okay.
Yeah, and we're not supposed to.
Okay.
Because people have differing views. We're not supposed to talk about, you know, religion and politics.
Right,
it's podcast.
Right. Why can't we talk about that?
Exactly. And so I am open about the fact that I am a Christian, that I go to church. I talk about it casually. I mention it often. I've never really gotten into like a theological discussion, really. I talked with one of my clients' moms before because she's Catholic. And more in a, you know, Christmas and Easter kind of Catholic, but like still like she believes in God, and she's talking about praying because she was like, oh, you pray, right, Alora? And I was like, yeah, I do, I pray. And she's like, that's so good. She's like, we have to pray for these kids because you never know, something could happen to them, we got to pray for them. And like talking about her own kid, and I think she was talking about like, you know, like they could be in an accident or something could happen to them, and so we got to pray for them. And so like that was the only time I think that I like really talked specifically about that, like with another client, because I don't think any of my clients have been Christians per se. At least not like super outspoken or
that you know of.
That I know of.
Because obviously it's not something you guys are talking about all the time. So.
But like they know that I do. I'll mention it. Like, oh yeah, I have Bible study after this. Or like, oh yeah, my friend from church. Or like.
And that's allowed, right? I mean, you're allowed to say that. You're just not allowed to try to evangelize. And, you know.
But I'm also like, my faith comes first. My relationship with God comes first. If it comes up and somebody wants to talk to me about God, I'm not gonna.
But given your personality anyway, even outside of work, you're not the kind of person who's going to start plowing into somebody with that. But if somebody asks you,
I usually wait for people to come to me.
Well, that to me, that's more biblical. It says be ready to give an answer to those that would ask you. It doesn't say go out and tell the whole world everything.
Yeah, exactly. And so like if I find opportunities for like if a conversation starts up, like I'm okay talking to people and sharing my story and my faith in that. But I think even just like a lot of times the parents know that I'm different than normal people. Be like, oh yeah, no, like I don't drink, or like I don't do that. I don't go to these places. I don't
do heroin.
But like I don't know. And so I think that's part of it too. Is just kind of seeing that I'm different. Like I was homeschooled. Like no, I don't really listen to those music, or I don't watch those movies or whatever it is. And like
you're one of those weirdy homeschool kids.
Yeah, I know, weirdy homeschool kid, but I'm perfectly okay with that.
You weren't for a while.
Like briefly in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then in high school, I wanted to go to high school.
Right.
But in hindsight, very glad that I was homeschooled. I think that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, honestly, other than God. But
well, that's good. I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah.
Your sister right now doesn't feel that way.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hope we have with her, is that someday she'll become an adult and look back on that stuff and be like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah. It's just so much better.
Yeah.
Than public school.
Right. Yeah.
So cool. Well, we're nearing the end.
Okay, so I don't know where we're at as far as time.
I don't know either. Well, we're getting towards the end as far as time, but I was trying to think. There's one more thing, and I forgot what it was now that I wanted to bring up. Forgot.
I don't know.
Must not be the Lord. So, anything else you want to mention, or?
I mean, I don't think so.
Topics you want to go into? You got your little notes there?
I do. I realized there's something we didn't end up talking about in the politics section, but it might be the Barbie movie. It's kind of.
Oh no! Let's do that. Yeah, that's right.
Because I want to talk about that.
Let's do it. I know
you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it. I need to say that up front so everybody knows I have not yet seen it.
Yeah, but so I saw it.
Uh-huh.
I made Q go with me.
Yeah. He didn't want to go by himself?
Yeah. He was not thrilled about going to see it.
I bet.
Yeah. But I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of people have opinions about it.
Yep.
And there's a lot of discussion going on about it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were like, oh, it's anti-men and anti-whatever, and it's a man-hating movie.
You don't think so?
No. I think people who say that didn't see it or went into it with the idea that that's what it was going to be, and that's all they saw.
So you don't think that the overarching theme of the movie is that the patriarchy is bad?
Oh, no, I do. The patriarchy is bad.
The patriarchy is bad?
Yeah.
Okay, so you tell me what the patriarchy is then.
The idea that only men should be in charge and that men are better at everything than women and men can do it better and men should make the decisions and...
Okay, so if that's your definition of patriarchy, I would agree with you. But I don't think that's the real definition of patriarchy. I think patriarchy just has to do with a not man-centered, man-led things. Whether it's a marriage, whether it's whatever it is.
So I think in that case, I do think that it is biblical for the man to be the head of his household, the head of his family,
sure,
to lead his wife and his children. That's a whole discussion in and of itself.
But did you think that movie was promoting that idea, or do you think it was promoting the opposite?
No, I think it was promoting equality of genders. I think, obviously, it's not a Christian movie. I didn't expect them to promote biblical values of family.
Well, of course not. But I see it as promoting the opposite of biblical values. Would you say that?
No.
No, okay.
I think that's how most people view it, but I don't think so. I think they missed the point.
Okay.
The point was, quick summary.
Yeah.
Starting off in, Barbie land, the way it is, the Barbies run everything. Barbie's president, Barbie is whatever. Right. The Barbies, they run this world, and the Kens are just kind of there. Mm-hmm. And, do whatever. And Barbie kind of ignores, Ryan Gosling's Ken is just like... Yeah. Okay, Ken, bye, see you later, get out of here, I don't need you. I got my girls.
So it's like a matriarchy in the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is their thing. And so Barbie in Barbie Land is under the impression that everywhere is like Barbie Land, the real world. It's just like Barbie Land, where women have power and women can do what they want to do and women this and that and everything.
The real world will be our world.
Yes.
Okay.
So they go to the real world, Barbie and Ken go to the real world, and Ken discovers patriarchy.
Yes.
And he gets the complete wrong idea about what patriarchy is. Mm-hmm. First of all, it's not saying this is how the real world is. This is Ken's perception of what he thinks the real world is. He thinks the patriarchy is horses. Men on horses. He's reading books about men in history, and they're all riding horses, and so he's like, "Oh, horses, patriarchy, yeah." Okay, it's really funny.
Right. Which is a jab at that anyway.
Yeah, but
right, it's making fun of that as if that's what guys think.
Yeah, I don't know, but so he gets this whole idea where he's like, "Oh, look, the men are CEOs, the men are in power, the men are doing this. This is great. We're gonna do this too." So he goes back to Barbie Land and he changes everything and makes it now Barbie Land is run by the Kens and the Barbies are just kind of there to be pretty and whatever and bring them beers.
Right. So it changed it around from what. So you would say, let me stop. Sorry, I'm stopping in the middle. Mm-hmm. So the beginning of the movie we have matriarchy. You'd say that's wrong.
Yeah.
Then Ken goes in the real world and he changes it to the patriarchy, which is the opposite of what it was in the beginning, which is. The men are all that's important, and the women can sit there and do nothing and look pretty.
Yes.
Right. Which again, I would agree that both of those scenarios is wrong.
Yes.
And you would agree.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that is exactly what our world is like today, and
right.
But I do think there are a lot of issues in that way. But that's not the point. And so eventually they fix things. The Barbies come back to take over. To retake back Barbie Land.
Right.
And in the process, Barbie realizes what it feels like, how she was treating Ken as like just decoration. You're there to look good. Your job is beach. That's all you do. And like, good for you, Ken. She realizes like, oh, like this doesn't feel good. This is not right. This isn't what we want.
She's getting a taste of her own medicine.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the Barbies apologize to the Kens for treating them that way. And Ken's like, I don't know who I am. And she's like, well, you can find out. You can find your identity. You can become who you want to be. And like, you don't have to just beach. That's not the only thing. Like, there can be more to you, and you can like, you don't have to be patriarchy.
Beach meaning he works at the beach?
Yeah, that's his job. He's like, not lifeguard, just beach. That's his job. It's like one of the running jokes.
Okay.
And so that's what she's telling you. It's like, you can find your identity. You can figure out who you are without Barbie. Like, you don't need me to tell you who you are. You can figure that out for yourself.
Right.
And so then they decide.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can decide, or they decide, that the Kens are now going to be allowed in their system of government, and they're going to start making this world more equal. And that's how I viewed the movie.
Right.
That's the plot of the movie. So people who are saying it ends with the Barbies are back on top and they smashed the Kens back down, and now it's like, you know, matriarchy again, the end. Yeah. I don't think that's how it ended.
Well, I don't think I would say that. So going back to what I just asked you, if you agree with that, I don't agree with that. What you just said a minute ago about
of what?
About her telling Ken, you can on your own find out who you're, you know, like talking about like void of her, like he can go find his purpose without her. Is that kind of what she was saying? Because I wouldn't agree with that.
Yes, and it's okay. So again, if we're talking Christian perspective,
right?
Yes, I believe that God created male and female to complement each other, to be in relationship with each other, and I don't think that's what they were saying necessarily in the movie. Is like, don't do that, but it was like your whole identity doesn't need to be like someone else, because like Ken's whole thing was he's happy if Barbie's happy, and he wants to be everything, just make her happy all the time. That's all he wants in life.
Right.
And it's like, well, you can be happy too. Like, what makes you happy outside of just
so what you're doing is you're separating biblical principles from worldly principles, and you're saying, to critique this movie, let's just leave the biblical principles out of it, and let's just look at the way the world is.
Right.
To where if we're doing that, then I'm like, whatever. I mean, because really, ultimately, to me, I think the biblical roles and the biblical understanding of who men and women are and what their relationship to each other is what we should be going by. And I don't think our society is doing that at all. I think our society has gone like this. Right. There was a time where men were abusing their power and basically saying, all that matters is me. This woman is here solely for me, and I don't care what she thinks. That's totally 100% wrong, right?
Yeah.
But now I feel that we've gotten to the point now where it's not the opposite of that, to where that's necessarily the way women are acting, because men and women are different. Women aren't going to act that way because that's not the personality of most women. But now we're in a point where the man's the joke, right? I've mentioned this many, many times. You watch any sitcom on TV right now. Yeah. I don't care which one it is. That's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
You're going to see a family. The woman is the strong breadwinner. She's taking care of the family. She's doing everything. The dad's falling down the stairs like an idiot because he doesn't know. He's talking like a buffoon. And as he falls, he's laying on the bottom. The kid comes down, grabs the wallet out of his pocket. Thanks, Dad. And then the wife just looks at him and shakes her head like, you idiot. This is the view, right? So I think that is the backlash to this patriarchal, to use the term patriarchy in the bad way. Because it's gotten a bad name.
Yeah.
But again, if we understand what patriarchy means, it's no different than the nuclear family. It's no different than these things. Well, again, which has gotten a bad name. A lot of people want to get rid of the nuclear family.
Yeah.
And say, oh, what is this crap? Man's the head of the family. Who's he think he is? But it's not about that. It's not about me being, oh, I'm the head of the family, which means you do whatever I tell you to do, and I don't care what you think. That's not what it means.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a partnership.
Yeah. So I think when I go to see a movie, I don't expect it to be promoting the biblical ideal.
I don't either.
Therefore, I'm not like, oh, I can't believe they blah blah this and that. It's like so unbiblical.
Right.
What did you expect it was going to be? Like, and so I think that, like, yes, for me and my family, and my husband agrees with me, we're in agreement about what we think the Bible says the family should look like and how husband and wife should be and all of that. But I think as far as the world as a whole, and again, this might be a point where we disagree, I don't think that the Bible says that men need to rule the world necessarily.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
So I think as far as...
it does either. Not rule the world.
Right. And so Barbie's not talking
Satan rules
about...
the world, according to the Bible.
You know, Barbie and Ken are not married. It's not like Ken needs to be the leader of the family and Barbie needs to submit to him. Like, they're literally not even talking about their relationship or their family.
Yes.
There's no family unit. It's talking more about the society as a whole and the way their world functions as far as their government and their, like, decision-making process and all these things and, like, the jobs that people have and creating that to become more equal.
Right.
That's what they're... That's what they're addressing, and that's what they're talking about in the movie.
Yeah. So okay. So I mean, I'm with you. I expect that. I don't expect any less than that from the world. I expect that from the world. But my problem, as always, is the influence this is going to have on Christians. The influence it's going to have on the world, because I have to live here, right? It does affect me in different ways. But I mean, it's the same as when certain books come out. I was just talking to a friend about this the other day, there was a book that came out quite a few years ago. Well, first it was The Shack. You remember the book The Shack? And all the Christians were raving about this book and how great it was. So what do? I go down and I buy it so I can read it, because I got to know what in the world. And I read this and I'm horrified. I'm like, oh my gosh. Not horrified that the world would produce such a book, because I can find lots of books like that. Right. Horrified that so many Christians were on board with it.
Right.
Then you fast forward a couple more years, you got Love Wins by Rob Bell, which is explaining how hell is not a real place and all this stuff. And I can read that and go, bullcrap. Here's some verses that go against that. But when I see all these Christians, oh, this book is so great, it teaches this and it's wonderful, I'm going, what in the world? So same problem with the Barbie movie. I'm on Facebook. All these Christian families, Christian moms are bringing their little girls to this movie. Oh, yes, Barbie power, girl power, let's go. That is not biblical. I'm sorry. The same way you said, I don't think the Bible teaches man to rule the world. Girl power is also not taught in the Bible. Right. So I think by promoting this idea, we're doing something wrong to our society. And as you and I talked before, I feel like a lot of that, even though me and Mom tried to not promote that kind of feministic view, I think a lot of that crept into your life anyway. Things like this is why. Yeah. On a smaller scale. But I mean, it just ultimately, if this is what we're teaching is girl power, stop it. And I'm not saying you should also teach your daughters that you're good for nothing but making babies and cooking meals, and that's all you're supposed to do in your life. Just do whatever your husband tells you. And no, that's not it either. Yeah. But it's somewhere in the middle. And we seem to go to one extreme. It's like, no, come on.
I don't know. I still just don't feel like it's as extreme as everybody makes it out to be. And I still, again, don't necessarily see anything wrong with the general idea of the movie and the conclusion that they came to in the end. Because, like I said, like, it's not like they were showing that, like, oh, Barbie and Ken are married, and in this married relationship, they're gonna be, like, whatever. Like, I don't think that's what they're talking about or that's what they're promoting. I think they're just talking about the world as a whole. And yes, not gonna deny the overall theme of girl power. For sure there. Right. For sure there. It is a feminist movie. There is no doubt about that at all.
Which just about every movie is these days that comes out of Hollywood. Right.
I mean, a lot more now than there used to be, for sure. Yes. I think it's becoming more popular to promote those kinds of themes and things in movies. But I don't know. I think overall, I think it was a good movie. I think it was nostalgic as a Barbie girl. Sure. I grew up with Barbies. I grew up loving Barbie and like going through all the different things with her. And I think that's what they talk about too, about how Barbie sets an unrealistic standard.
Yes.
They talk about that in the movie.
Absolutely.
Because that's the one little girl, when she goes to the real world, that's the girl's critique of Barbie. She's like, we hate you. You promote this super unhealthy like image for us and you all these things. Like, we hate you. We don't want you. And Barbie's like, oh, like, I didn't realize. She had no idea, because she lived in this perfect little world where everything is great. And then all of a sudden she realized, like, oh, the world is not perfect. And she starts to feel these emotions and she starts to experience these human things and like realize that, like, oh, there's still a lot of hurt in the world, and there's still a lot of like things going on, and like people are not treating each other the way they should be treating each other. And like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I understand. And again, this is me coming off of not having seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen many, many clips, and I've listened to many, many discussions about it from both sides. People that thought it was the greatest thing ever, and people that thought it was not, and all of that. And I guess what I would ask, and this is the question I would have to all of the Christian moms out there that are taking their kids to see that movie, what is your purpose? I don't mean like, what is your purpose as a woman? I mean, like, what is your purpose in taking that little girl to see that movie? What is your hope? What are you trying and hoping to promote? What are you hoping she walks out of that movie with? And I think if they're honest, they're going to say girl power.
Yeah.
They're going to say that she can do whatever she wants without a man. She don't need a man. She can be whoever she wants to be. And again, I understand why there's so many people that feel that way, because there's been a lot of deadbeat guys. And they get to the point where like, forget this.
Yeah.
I'm not. Guys suck. They just screw everything up, and I agree. They do. Everybody's messed up. We got problems.
Yeah.
But we need to get but these are all people and men in specific that are not living by biblical principles, because again, if they're not Christians, why would they?
Right.
And that's why our whole world's topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
Because if tomorrow everybody woke up and started living by biblical rules and principles, most of the issues would go away.
Right. Yeah, and so like I for sure would not be like, yeah, all men suck, we hate men, woohoo. Like I've never ever been on that side of feminism, and I think that that's wrong. I don't think that's feminism anymore. I think that's like sexism the other way around.
Yes.
I really don't think that's fair.
It's just like every other form of prejudice that we've had in the country. It's like you get very, very prejudiced different ways and for different reasons, whether it's sexism, racism, whatever, and then we get to today, and we haven't equalized it. We've gone the flip-flop.
Yeah. And
now we're the other way around. And it's like, no, this isn't, what are we doing? You know? So it's just like that with anything. And that's always my concern. I mean, if worldly people are going to be worldly people. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and so again, as far as like we talk about, if I had a daughter, would I take her to see that movie?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, no, because there's inappropriate things in it outside of all of that.
Right, that's a separate issue.
I was surprised.
Yes, that's a separate issue, yeah. Well, there was stuff in the preview.
Yeah.
I didn't even like the fact that Addie and Asher were sitting there in the preview when we were watching, I forgot what movie we were seeing, but that's always another beef I have. It's like, if I'm watching a movie, I'm going to the theater to watch a movie that has nothing offensive in it, yet you're going to show offensive stuff in the previews?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Know the audience. Fine, if I'm going to see a rated R movie, then play some rated R trailers. No problem, right? Because it's no different than what I'm about to watch. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, like, as an adult woman who feels confident in her idea of what the Bible says about men and women and our roles and our relationship with each other, I didn't really find a problem with the movie. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with everything.
Sure. It looks funny.
But yes, it was very funny.
Yeah.
I liked the nostalgia of like all the different Barbies that they reference and like all the different like random things. And they have like the weird Barbie who's the one who like her hair is all chopped and her makeup's
That's
like
Kate McKinnon, right?
Yeah, we all had a weird Barbie that we like did something weird with, and like
I think she's hilarious.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like her, but like she's one of the few SNL, like newer SNL people that she cracks me up, man.
Yeah.
She's so funny.
Yeah. It was really funny, and I think Margot Robbie does a really good job.
Yeah,
in that
she's
role.
a great actress.
Yeah,
I mean the diversity
actress.
of roles that she's played over the years. It's like
and I think that's part of one last thing. What somebody else was saying was interesting about this movie is thinking about the roles that Margot Robbie has played in the past, where she has been sex object in these movies, very sexualized, very like there for the men to look at in so many movies, and then in this movie to have her play this doll, and then like I don't know, it was kind of like a turning point to like, I don't know, like it was almost like symbolic to have her.
Yes and no, but you got to realize every role she takes is her own choice.
Yeah.
Nobody's forcing her to take these roles.
Right.
So if she's playing in a movie where she's being mistreated or she's being treated as a sex object, she knew the script.
Yeah.
She read the screenplay before I assume she read the screenplay before she took the job.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But that's what's funny. One of the parts, too, when she's having her whole crisis in the movie, she's like, I'm not pretty anymore. And then the narrator's like, we realize Margot Robbie is the wrong actress to make this point. And it's, like, really funny.
Yeah.
Because even when she's not pretty, she's still very clearly pretty. And, like,
right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
But, yeah.
All right. Well, we're at the end.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Cool beans.
That was painless?
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff.
I mean, my throat hurts a little bit because I talk so much, but
it's because you ran out of chai too early.
I know, and I'm almost out of water too.
Uh-oh. No good.
That's all right.
All right. Well, very cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Woohoo. I'm so happy that you've listened through another episode. I hope that this conversation was helpful to you in some way. I greatly appreciate any and all feedback, so please contact me at whycan'twettalkaboutthat@proton.me. Also, I'm still booking people for this season, so if you or anyone you know would like to be a guest, or maybe just have some questions for me about what it would like to be a guest, please don't hesitate to reach out. Here's a clip from the next episode.
2 years old or something, I was going to that street church. I started getting this feeling like I was supposed to buy groceries and go take them door to door. And I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So I just ignored it. And it got to the point where all I could do was think about that. Right. I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to do this. And so I get groceries. I get my best friend, Sean. I got my girlfriend at the time to drive us. So we started going door to door in Coeur d'Alene. And people were like, well, we'll give you guys some food. We're like, no, we're giving food away. And we didn't give any food away. And so funny. We dropped. People wouldn't take it? No one needed it. People were trying to give us food. Funny. And so we took food to somebody in our church that we knew needed it and dropped it off there. And Sean was like, well, should we do one more? And I was like, yeah, one more. And then I guess I was wrong, you know? So we knock on this door. Well, we walk in, it's like an old building. And so it's got like a door, and a door in the middle. And Sean's like, let's do number 3 for the Trinity. And so we knock on the door. Young girl opens the door and she was like, can I help you? And we were like, did the spiel. We're like, we're not part of any church. We're just going door to door, seeing if anybody needs food. And she was like, are you joking? And I was like, no. And she was like, I literally prayed 5 minutes ago. If God was real, that he would show himself to me. She's like, I'm pregnant. I have no food. I have no money, no nothing. Wow. And she was insinuating that she was thinking about getting an abortion. And so we gave her all the food that we had, which was all of it. Right. And we prayed with her and then never saw her again. Like, we invited her to come to church with us. Never. Wow. I don't even know if she was a real person or not.